I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oops, thank you. Now, all those housekeeping orders we put in place last Monday are still in order, so we can vote by raising our hands. I only have one announcement to note, and that is Saturday, May 16th is Household Hazardous Waste Collection Day. So don't forget to bring down your waste paint and your fluorescent bulbs.
There's a point of privilege.
Is that better? Okay, I'll swallow this thing. Okay, we're going back to budgets that were held. Well, what do you want me to do about it? Tell them. I guess we're still having mic issues. It sounds muffled, I'm told. Well, we'll try to move forward even if you can't figure out what I'm saying. The next held budget is Public Works. Who had a question on Public Works? Yes, Mr. Rutfield. Hopefully your mic won't be muffled. You know, there's a warrant article for a new PA system for this place. Don't you dare vote against it. Is this one better? You need what?
We're having issues in the room right now, Jackie. We'll have them wait until it's resolved. It could be that.
Test? Okay.
There we go.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Alex Rutfield, Precinct 5. So my question was specifically about the trash, and when I held, I didn't realize we might be doing that separately. So I can wait till that, or I can just ask now.
You'll have to wait, because now we have to vote on this anyway, because it's been held. So we have to vote on the DPW separately.
Okay. Oh. Skip my hold then.
Are there any other questions on the DPW budget? Yes, Ms. O'Brien.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Patricia O'Brien, Precinct 2. Recently, there was a tragedy in Melrose when a 6-year-old boy was killed by a falling tree in, I believe, what was a public park. So I'd just love for DPW to kind of explain a little bit about the tree care program, which is a $75,000 line item. And I'm wondering if that's enough to make sure that the trees that are close by our children and our elders and everyone who's in public spaces are safe. Thank you.
Mr. White, please.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I believe it was last year, we asked for an increase to try to keep up with the tree work. We do believe that our budget is sufficient to cover the roadways. There is, it's kind of unique in that the DPW tree warden is responsible for the trees in the right-of-way, but not parks or schools. So those departments have separate items that also address that.
Anything further on DPW? Seeing nothing, let's put it to a vote. All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. Okay. Okay, trash removal. Mr. Rutfield, please.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Alex Rutfield, Precinct 5. I was just wondering why it went up 7%. That seemed a little higher than I would have expected if it was just for standard salary increases.
Mr. White, please.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. So we are in, I believe it's year 3 of a 5-year contract. The contract has inflation requirements based on CPI, specifically the WST subsection of the CPI. So it is, we're contractually obligated to adjust it by the CPI. In addition, any increases over the CPI, because we have to pay, we're legally required to pay prevailing wage rates. So if the state increases wage rates higher than the CPI, we have to make up that difference. So for example, if the CPI was 5%, wages went up 7%, we have to split that difference and make up the 2%. Additionally, one of the other big drivers is recycling costs has gone up significantly since last year. That's largely due to it's very variable, so it fluctuates based on the secondary resale market of the recyclables themselves. They become less valuable, and so the price for recycling has gone up.
Ms. Simonds.
Martha Simon, Precinct 3. I was just wondering, given that everything's going up in cost and trash collection certainly is, one of the items that's very, very heavy in our trash is food waste. And there is a voluntary program now for people to get compost picked up at their curbside, which individuals pay for. But if more people use that service, then there would be less weight, less tonnage to contract out to the rubbish service. And I'm wondering if the town could look into either including some of those costs, perhaps subsidizing it, or even just publicizing that program more so that more people who wanted to compost their food waste would do that. Is that something that you've looked into or you could look into?
Mr. White, please.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Yes, so we are aware of that. As I mentioned, we are just through the 3rd year of our trash and recycling contract. So we're actually going to be starting the RFP process for the next contract this summer. And as you mentioned, with the cost of everything related to trash, we'll be looking at all types of things to try to reduce and various options and levels of service to try to keep that manageable.
Anything additional? Seeing none, let's take the vote on this. All those in favor? Thank you. Opposed? Trash is passed. Next held budget I have is the Council on Aging. We have an amendment by Mr. Young, who wishes to reduce the budget by the following amount, $45,205. Mr. Young, if you would speak on your amendment, please.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Good evening, all. I touched on this on Monday night. We all have some departments that maybe we focus on and perhaps help. I'm a member of the Council on Aging. I spent a significant amount of time trying to make it a better organization for all of us. And I said, and I'll say it again tonight, I think hard decisions need to be made. And so I'm making one on this for a number of reasons. In my research coming up to tonight, I didn't find any real detailed information when you're hiring someone for a new position, which also I found out they've never had that position. So I reached out to Mr. Denizio. He provided some information, but that's for me individually. Secondly, I went to the boot camp and asked if there was any information, and it was just pointed out to me that, well, there's a 16% increase in this line item, and that should tell you something's cooking. So many people here have had jobs in the private sector, including myself. And we're lucky if we get a week or 2 weeks to perform our duties for which we've been hired to do. Businesses expect, or any entity should expect, that the person coming in and being paid a full wage should perform at a high level and get results right out of the gate. So to have a 6-month window, I think, is exceedingly over the top. So it was mentioned the other night, Monday night, that, well, we'll have this position, if you vote for it, we'll have the assistant director's position. Then as Marge Yetman retires in the middle of the year, then that person will be likely promoted to her position. But the problem with that is that that position, the assistant director's position, will now be part of that department. And I'll say it this way, this is not my first rodeo. I was born in this state, been raised in this state, and if a government agency especially gets a position, when do you ever see that go away? So I am not a betting man. I am really not. But I would say the chances of that position, because it's there, it's like a tattoo. It's just going to be there, and it's just too tempting to continue to put that in for the next year, in the next year, and the next year. So I'll say it this way again. As much as I am an advocate, and I will always be an advocate for this, I feel that we should be very careful with head counts. We're 26,000 people. And I spent a lot of years in Quincy, Mass. This year's budget, the mayor came out and said, no new programs, no new hiring, inflation only, and they got it to 2.9%. So, and I do want to thank Marge Yetman for a conversation we had. So my efforts will continue. I hope you'll consider this, and there'll be other things coming up tonight where a tough decision has to be made. And I was meeting with...
Hey, Bob.
Yes.
You're going on long enough. Let's wrap her up, please.
Final comment. I was meeting with a long-standing friend today, and he told me that the gentleman that's part of the Healy administration in finance, is quoted in a publication saying, if towns get into trouble, don't come looking for the state for any money. So I just thank you for your time, for your consideration. This is not easy for me, but it's heartfelt, and I think it's the right thing for the town as a whole. Thank you.
Mr. Lawler, please.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. If I may speak to the amendment, I have a few slides to address and clear up some of the points that Mr. Young made. So I can begin as we wait for it to come up. The recommended Council on Aging budget for this year includes funds to hire a director 6 to 8 months prior to the current director's retirement. And so a few points to clear up. This is not a request to hire an assistant director. And this provides funds to ensure that we onboard a key leadership position that supports our aging population. It supports a vulnerable population. And it's a very important element to note that I understand some of the points about private sector positions. This isn't not a private sector position. This is a social service position. This is a position that supports residents, it supports our seniors. So I understand the point. I just think it's a very important distinction that this is a community-based department. And I can appreciate your point about the information to date, because this has been an iterative process. If we were to provide you information 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago, it might look different, because we've been shaping our response based on feedback from committee members, feedback from town meeting members, and feedback from folks in this industry, frankly. And I think that that has a value, because we've been able to shape that and change that and make adjustments based on where we think the need is going to be. So this has been both responsible and creative. And I think that this really is a solution to serving our seniors and understanding what's next for the Council on Aging. It is likely that the FTE increase is only it's 0.42 for 1 year only. Our next director will help shape what that looks like. Jen, if you could go to the next, please. So a little more on this. I think I just want to address a little bit about what FTEs look like, and to address your points about FTEs being there and staying there. If we can get to the next slide when you have a moment. So these things are very carefully considered. We talk about them with Ways and Means. We talk about them with staff. The administration meets regularly to evaluate these types of things. And in prior years, we've had reductions in FTEs. We've had offices that have reduced full headcount, full FTEs in the last several years, and we expect that to be happening in future years as well. And when a position becomes vacant, we're not an administration that says, let's fill this position, let's fill it fast, let's get it posted. This is an opportunity for us to slow it down. This is an opportunity for us to talk to the department head. This is an opportunity to be creative, be innovative. What emerging needs are we missing out on, or expectations need to be met? Is there another department that has a priority that we need to address? Can we deliver this service differently? We've had good examples where we've changed vendors and we've created efficiencies in offices. We've been able to reduce headcount. So that is something that we very carefully consider, because we don't want to increase FTEs. We want to make efficiencies. And in this case, we've had reductions in FTEs, and in this situation, they don't always line up. So we've had efficiencies in last year's budget, and this year we had a need. We like when the 2 fiscal years meet, but that recommended service alignment doesn't always meet with our efficiencies. And just to illustrate that a little bit further, last year we had a decrease 0.52 FTE. Moving forward to this year, we're looking at a 0.42 increase. So we still end up with a net decrease for FY26 and FY27. And the last slide, I think, illustrates what we talked about a little bit the other night, where, and I added arrows because the highlighting was hard to see. Burlington has the highest population of residents over 65. Right now, our staffing is 5th. For 1 year, it'll be 4th, and then we'll likely drop right back down. And more people doesn't always mean better programming. We recognize that. But it's an important point to note that how are we serving our seniors best? A week to 2 week or 3 week lead time might not be serving our seniors best for the transition of our next director. The idea here is to bring someone on board, acclimate them with the community, understand the needs, understand what needs to be met by our seniors, and really become part of that community, really become part of the senior community, become part of the senior center leadership, and then take on their role as director. and we'll be putting them in the best position possible to do that. So I respectfully request that the amendment not be supported and the original budget be moved.
Thank you, Mr. Lawler. Any further thing to say on the amendment? I think you've already had your shot, Bob. Okay, let's rebut.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I appreciate it. I believe this is very important. A couple of things, and I respect our administration, but I would ask everybody here and everybody that we represent outside, including the business community, I hear it over and over, and Patrick did, and again, I don't mean it as a slight to him, but they constantly say in all forms of government, oh, this is not like a business. Maybe that's part of the problem. They're living in some other kind of world, and I'm not sure what that is, but the people that have to pay the bills, you know, have to make tough decisions. And anybody that works for any business would love to have an opportunity to come in and work there for 6 months and have a transition. My last comment is on page 99, if everybody would look under staffing, COA director / department head, and that's one, and then one assistant director. So something is amiss. The documentation says assistant director. The comments up on the screen and the comments from our assistant administrator says it's not an administrative position. That was news to me. Now they're co-directors. So there are significant questions for everybody to answer. Do you want to run this, you know, in what I would say a more efficient way, a more reasonable way, or we continue down the same path, more and more and more and more? Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Lawler, please.
Trying to cue. They got it now. Just briefly, and thank you, Mr. Young. Yes, the budget does say assistant director because April 8th, which when we went to the printer, that was our approach at that time. We still had a month worth plus of feedback to get. We talked about this at the financial articles town meeting preview session last Wednesday, and that was, we had feedback at that session. I presented it at this time. But yes, unfortunately, sometimes we're bound by print deadlines, as we talked a lot about last night. And at the print deadline, we were as transparent as we could as the plans at that time. We recognize that as a month plus passes, that able to continue to make recommendations and decisions and refine our request to town meeting, we were able to do that. So, thank you.
Anything further, Mr. Rutfield?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Alex Rutfield, Precinct 5. So, first I'd like to point out that $45,000, if that was an annual salary, you're not going to get anyone for a director position who actually has a background that knows what they're doing. Nobody's going to take it. So that clearly is a 6-month number. I'd also like to point out that I've worked in the private sector for over a decade now myself, and they definitely do not expect anything from you for the first week or two. Like, I've been told by managers they don't really know what to do. They don't really understand what you can do until maybe a year in. Most managers know that the worst thing you can do if your project is falling behind is hire someone else, because the time it's going to take to train them is just going to make your project fall further behind. So I would say, like, you know, most people can't get going on their work until maybe like 3 months in at least. And I'm not a director. I've never been a manager. I've always been just the engineer. So I would like a director who's been there, who like really knows their way around and understands the people, understands the processes, knows Burlington. That is not getting done in a month. You definitely want 6 months for that. If you only gave them a week or two, maybe they can figure out how to get to their desk in the building and not much else.
Thank you, Mr. Rutfield. Anything further? Good question. Here's a question, second now. let's move on with that. Let's bring us to a vote on the amendment. All those in favor of the amendment? In favor of the amendment. Thank you. All those opposed? Okay, the amendment fails. Brings us back to the main motion, which is the Council on Aging budget as presented, voted by 10 in favor, 2 opposed, 1 abstention by Ways and Means, and 400 by the Select Board. Anything further on this article? Yes, Mr. Bell.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. So we had some dissenting members on Ways and Means. Can we hear their reasoning behind this?
Do you want to hear the reason why the 10 voted in favor also?
I'm happy to hear them as well.
Mr. Davison, please.
We can just mention that we discussed the FTE but came with the solution.
It was early on.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Cheyenne Bhattacharya, Precinct 1. I voted against this because, similar to Mr. Young's comments, I didn't feel that a new position should be created just to replace someone who is leaving. That was why I felt I didn't support the budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Davison, please.
I will say that we had a long discussion about this, and there was quite a bit of concern about adding a partial FTE with the thought that, well, that means that, they hire in January, that's a half an FTE, and then next year we're going to look at another half. And they mentioned that as a possibility. They weren't sure. I would like to think that some of the pressure from our discussion and the discussion that happened that night led towards some of this. During the discussion, it was said that we would, that would be something that would be reviewed again, and that we would obviously have to come back next year and vote for the other half of the FTE if they were trying to make it a full-time position, so that we had 2 full-time, a director and an assistant. And so we felt like, we had another bite at the apple, but it does give them a chance to try to hire a replacement director and keep that program going. So.
Anything further? Seeing no hands raised. All those in favor? Thank you. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Youth and Family Services. Someone have a question on this? Is that Ms. Fristacci?
Hello, Joanne Fristacci, Precinct 3. I wonder if we could get an update on the transition to taking insurances at the Youth and Family Services. It's a complex issue, I know.
Mr. Lawler.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator, and thank you, Mr. Stacci. Yes, that was also an element of the discussion that we had at Ways and Means regarding the potential for it becoming an insurance-based program. I think that The discussion at that time, or how we left the discussion, was that the administration would work with David Langford and Youth and Family Services to continue to explore that model. It would substantially, I think, reshape the model that's there right now as far as the community service element of it goes, and there's things to work out related to that on how we deal with different types of health plans and deductibles, how we deal with co-pays, how we continue to provide a service. There's probably a hybrid approach there too. There are some good models out there that we are looking at that do that in neighboring communities. It is a very unique service to begin with, and it's a great service for the community. So we do want to make sure that we don't lose that shape of the service. However, it is something that we're exploring to understand the mechanics behind.
Follow up, Ms. Fistacci?
Thank you. I was also wondering if we're still using the motorbike program that is grant funded?
No.
Anything additional? Ms. O'Brien?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Patricia O'Brien, Precinct 2. I don't think that I know enough about the kinds of services, but I was wondering if there's a number associated with individual, family, or group therapy sessions? Like how many hours in a year are we actually providing direct therapy in this program? Thank you.
I'll ask the Director of the Youth and Family Services to speak to that.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Thank you, Town Meeting, for the question. We provide, so our department provides, is one of several that provides human services supports to the town, and our department provides direct clinical counseling. Approximately, for each of my staff members, myself included, we carry a caseload of approximately half of our hours would be direct clinical care to families, individuals, and groups.
Anything additional? Seeing none. Let's vote on it. All in favor? Thank you. Opposed? Youth and Family Services passes. Yes. 93.
What? 93. Please. Brief. Myrna Saltman, Precinct 2. Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Could you please announce the page that we're on for each item?
All right, I'll do that. Library is on page 107. Okay, this budget had a 5.75% increase. It was supported by Ways and Means 1300. Who had a question? Well, seeing no question, we'll put it to a vote. All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Recreation. Starts on page 111. The budget's on 113. A 4.47% increase, 1300 was the vote of Ways and Means. Who had a question? Seeing none, we'll put it to a vote. All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Okay, that brings us to debt service. 113 or 115. I know no one likes to pay debt service, but what is the question on this? Who's that there? I can't see you. Is that Ms. Phillips? No. Who's Ms. Warren? Didn't you sit over the other side yet earlier? Don't do that to me.
I'm sorry, I keep changing my seat. Christine Herter Warren, Precinct 4. Mine was more of a question because I just don't think I'm putting two and two together here. So the current debt service is at 10.4 million, and then it goes up by maybe 3 million starting next year. I think I heard Mr. Denizio say that 25% of Fox Hill is in 2027, but I didn't hear about the police station. I'm just trying to understand what portion of those two projects, which are, I think, about 110 million, where they are in 2027, just because I don't think I understand it. Thank you.
Mr. Denizio, please.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I apologize for not being clear during the presentation. So what's in the budget in that 10.4 million for next year is the full cost of the police station, which is about 2.8 million a year for the debt service. What's also in there is just the interest on a ban for $25 million for the Fox Hill School. So that's about $1 million. So that will continue to go up over the next couple of years as we either continue to ban for that project more money or we permanently borrow a portion of that.
Anything further on debt service? Seeing none, all those in favor? Thank you. All those opposed? Motion carries. Ways and Means Reserve Fund. Somebody wants to know why it went down by 33%. Am I correct? Someone have a question on it? It goes down by 33% because every January we add $100,000 to it, so the final number is $300,000, and then for the year, when that goes back to $200,000 at the beginning of in the May town meeting, and we'll add more again in January as needed. Okay, so all those in favor of the Ways and Means Reserve? Thank you. Opposed? Okay. Negotiated settlements.
Middlesex retirement.
Oh, Middlesex retirement first. There we go. Ways and Means supported at 51100 and the Select Board 500. Who had a question on it? Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Mark Woods, Precinct 7. Just want to get some information about the retirement fund. Number one, what's the actuarial assumption for rate of return versus its benchmark, and how did it do? How many people are covered? And I'll have a follow-up.
Mr. Denizio, please.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I'm not going to be able to read it without my glasses. Yep. So I think the questions were how many participants, what the rate of return has been, and what the discount rate was. Is that what you were asking? Yep. So the rate used by the actuary is 7.15. The participants is 405 retired and just under 600 active. And the rate of return is, over what period are we looking for? Just yeah, it's a regional system, so the rate of return for the system is a certain number, and we don't have it broken down for ours, but
well, aren't we part of the pool, so we get
yep,
the same rate of return?
He's going to get it right now. If you want to go to your follow-up, I can try for that while he grabs that.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Oh, that was it?
Well, yeah, I want to know if the rate of return from the system was above or below the actuarial rate of return.
So for the last full calendar year that we have the report for, it was 9.07%.
And the rate the actuary uses is 7.15?
It's 7.15.
So why did the expense go up if we're doing better than the actuarial assumption?
So our actuarial is based on a fully funding date of 2037. So that's what they build, and I think the actuary that we're working off is from 2024, from 12/1 of 2024. So we'll get a new one for not this FY27 budget, we'll get a new one for FY28 budget, and it will set up our next 2 years of funding, and that will be calculated in for that.
Okay, thank you.
Anything further? All right, all those in favor? Thank you. Opposed? Motion carries. Negotiated settlements, supported by Ways and Means 1100 and the Select Board 500. Someone have a question on it? Mr. Pearson.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Monty Pearson, Precinct 3. I just would like to know why the number is a lot bigger now than it was a couple of years ago.
Mr. Denizio, please.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. So thank you, Mr. Pearson. So the way negotiated settlements works is that's where we park the money for any contracts that haven't been settled. So every year we have an amount in there because our A&P group doesn't have a collective bargaining agreement, so we have to fund it year over year. So that, and right now we don't have a contract with one of our unions. So what's in that number right now is 1 year's worth of an A&P settlement, which you'll hear later in Article 14, and then 2 years worth of the union that's still out, which is our fire union. So there's 2 years worth of settlement in that number. So last year when negotiated settlements was approved, it was 1.1 million because we didn't have a contract with anybody. So that number is lower than last year, but it's higher than what's in there right now because the way it works is as we settle the agreements, we have an article to transfer the money from negotiated settlement into those department budgets. So it started out last year with 1.1 million in it. We had agreements with all but one union, so it was transferred out and you see the number that's still in there.
Any additional questions on negotiated settlements? Seeing none, let's put that to a vote. All those in favor? Thank you. Opposed? That carries. Brings us to local transportation. Supported by Ways and Means 1200 and the Select Board 500. Someone had a question on this?
Well, I have a question.
It was Mr. Miller. Bill was Mr. Miller.
Yep.
Mr. Miller, go right ahead.
Yes.
Mr. Miller.
Yes, Dave Miller, Precinct 4. Yeah,
Hold on, David. Actually, probably keep talking so we can fix the sound on you.
Oh, you can't hear me? I'll keep talking. Can you hear me yet? Can you hear me?
I can kind of hear him.
Jackie, have him text the message to you. The messages they ask, write out his question. Have him write out his question.
Okay, I'll put it in the chat.
Do you want me to read it?
Please.
Mr. Miller's question is, I heard that $350,000 is needed to fully fund and support the LIFT program.
Mr. Denizio, please.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. So the program, as it exists today, would take more than $350,000. As we were estimating it back at the beginning of the calendar year, we've had the growth has continued to explode over that time, and it would be significantly more than $350,000 to fund the program with the parameters that existed just a month ago. What we did after our initial estimates was to get some feedback from both the Budget Board and Ways and Means and the Policymaking Board of Select Board, and decide what the right size of that program should be, and then what levers we should pull. So a little history on the LIFT program. I know everybody here knows. There used to be a program called the B-Line, which was more like a typical bus service. It had scheduled stops. It had scheduled times. It operated during the day. You got on at a pickup spot. You got dropped off at a different spot. You paid a fare. It was very typical of what a bus system was. It was inefficient, was underused, and it became pretty expensive. So there was a group that looked at an alternative, and what they came up with was to do a concierge service, to partner with one of the rideshare programs. We chose Lyft, and to do subsidized rides so that folks could take their rides at a more convenient time for them, take them to wherever they were going. And it was set up with some parameters of age restriction, income restrictions, or residents with disabilities. And then that program started just as COVID hit. So the program took several years to get popular. Over the last 8 months, the program has gotten very popular, which is a great thing. However, it's grown to a point that's beyond the resources that we used to spend on when we had the B-Line. So some of the feedback we got was that's about the right amount of resources we should be putting towards this, subsidizing rides for folks, and that number was about $250,000. That's where we've landed at for the appropriation we're asking for. That is $100,000 more than we had last year, but it's the same as we used to have back in the previous program and at the beginning, at the end of the B-Line program. So that's why we landed at that program, and what we've done with the Select Board through some feedback from the Select Board was to tweak some of the levers. What are the levers we have? Right now, the way the program works is someone calls for a ride, orders a Lyft, they're in our program, they pay for the first $1, the next $10 are subsidized by the town, and then they pay for anything over that. There's no limitations on where they can go, what they can use the service for. The only limitation that did exist was the amount of rides they could take per month. There were 2 tiers. You were either a 50-ride tier or a 35-ride tier. So several of the levers you can pull is when we offer rides, where we offer rides to, how much we subsidize, or how many rides we take. So with the first lever that was pulled was with the number of rides. It was discussed that 50 rides might just be, too many. That's a pretty large subsidy. That's someone could, if they took rides that cost $10, that subsidy could be upwards to $500 a month, $6,000 a year. Again, probably great for someone that needs it, but the program, just the resources don't cover that. So we've changed the amount of rides that you can take in a month. We're going through our first month of that now. There hasn't really been a huge amount of pushback because we did tweak them down only by 20 rides. We went from 50 max to 30 max, and from 35 max to a 15 max. So we're going to get the data from that if the rides stay about the same, so a little data on the rides. 2 years ago this time, we had about 80 users a month, and there was about 1,700 rides a month. Last year it was a similar. We had more users, and the rides went up to about 1,800 rides. So there was about 135 users, and it was about 1,800 rides. Now, just these last couple months, this year we're averaging 3,600 rides a month, and we're averaging 185 users. But the last few months have been 4,000 rides and 200 riders. So we've made those tweaks. We expect that that's going to cut down the number of rides. Hopefully, we'll continue to have the same amount of people using the program, but we'll be able to afford the amount of rides they're taking, and we'll continue to get feedback on that. But so that's where we landed on the number we landed at with $250,000, because that's around what we used to spend on the on the Beeline. So we'll couple that with the money we get from the state, from the TNC network. That is 10 cents. We get 10 cents back to the city or town that every rideshare ride originates in. So all the rides that originate in Burlington, we get 10 cents back for. That we expect this year will be around the $50,000. So we'll have $300,000. That's $25,000 a month for this program. That should cover between 2,500 and 3,000 rides. That's just wanted to give the data. So we did start out with a number that was higher, and after the feedback we got, that's why we landed on the 250,000. 250,000. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Denizio. Is Mr. Miller okay? All right, good. Any additional questions on this? Ms. Saltman?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Myrna Saltman, Precinct 2. Please clarify for me, under which department will this local transportation be listed?
Mr. Denizio.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. So it's in at the back of the book. It's in the back of the budget book, Myrna. It's under other budgets because it's more of a collaboration between guidance folks here at the school department, the Council on Aging, who is the administrator who enters people into the program and makes those changes, and now also the town administrator's office. So between the three of us, that's who's handling it.
Thank you very much.
Anything, Ms. Manning?
Hello. Rose Manny, Precinct 6. Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Mr. Denizio, I'm just wondering how the income restriction works and how that is monitored or how that works. Thank you.
Mr. Denizio, please.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. So the income limitation is at 300% of the poverty limit. It's a very common amount used for certain programs. So a lot of times folks that are added into the program are already in another program through the state. So that's sort of an automatic indicator that they've qualified. For folks that aren't, they would have to submit proof of qualifications.
Thank you.
Mr. Prue.
Michael Prue, Precinct 4. What's the typical ride cost if you don't leave town from like one side of the town to the other, one trip?
Mr. Denizio.
Yep. Thank you, Mr. Prohl. So our average ride is closer to $9 than $10. So in-town rides are less in the $8 range, and out-of-town rides are going to max out at the $10 range. So our average it fluctuates between $9.25 and $9.40, $9.50.
Yes, ma'am, up the back.
Jamie Weaver, Precinct 7. First of all, who does the checks and balances and the audits? Is it the state? And does Burlington do an audit to make sure the verification process is met and that we're not abusing the system, because there's been a lot of abuse in the system? The second is, what is the majority of these people? Are they traveling to the grocery store? Are they traveling to doctor's appointments? With this population, sometimes they need doctor's appointments, and with Leahy being so big, are we pairing up with Leahy to try to do a share ride to get them to their medical appointments to reduce the cost for the town? And instead of doing $10, we could do $5 and really make sure it's based on income and need. It is a valuable program, but I mean, that's like, we also need to be smart.
Mr. Denizio.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I think I've remembered the questions, but if I miss any, just let me know. As far as the certifications, those that are certified in the state program, that's going to be up to the state to ensure that they're still qualified for those programs. This year, we're instituting a recertification program, which we'll do annually now. That's something that we weren't doing before. So that should help find anybody that doesn't qualify. As far as the ride share piece of it, we haven't done that yet for privacy reasons about folks going to doctor's appointments. We also don't, in our reporting, we don't track the exact location of their drop-off. We do longitude and latitude, but we don't put address, again, for privacy reasons. And I believe the last question was the subsidy. That is one of the levers we may have to change. You know, we may not be able to continue to cover up to $10 of a ride if the ridership continues to grow beyond the resources. I think I got them all, but if I didn't, just let me know.
All set, Ms. Weber?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a valuable program, but I think that we need to be realistic about the cost. Microphone.
Thank you. Anything further? Seeing none. All those in favor? Thank you. All those opposed? Motion carries. With that, we have finished the operating budget. Take a bow. Okay, we're moving on to Article 3, to fund the FY 2027 capital budget in the amount of $5,746,065. It's been moved and seconded by the Ways and Means Committee to see if the town will vote to transfer from free cash the sum of $5,526,065. From free cash, from sewer enterprise fund, $120,000, and from raise and appropriate, $100,000. And we'll go through all of those individually. We will go through each of these articles individually. We've tried to do it as a consent motion, but that failed miserably because everyone held everything. So we'll go to 3.1. TA, Public Building Accessibility and Security. And what do I have on that? Ways and Means support of this, 1200. Select Board voted 500. And Capital Budget voted 600. Mr. Lawler, please. Yes, Mr. Maury.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Bruce Maury, Precinct 1. Should we approve, don't we have to approve the held items for the overall operating budget before we move on to the next warrant article?
We approve them one at a time, so they have all individually been approved.
Is that traditional? I thought we always approve the overall budget once the held items are discussed. Maybe I'm not remembering properly, but...
Yes. We did it in reverse.
That's fine.
All the ones that weren't held have been approved, and now we've taken care of those that were held.
I'm fine. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Lawler, please.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. 3-1, Public Buildings Accessibility and Security. This is to improve the security in the remaining town buildings that have not been upgraded to our key fob system. This really is just adapting to the best practice for physical building security, and will meet the same security that we have at the fire station headquarters, Fire Station 2, 1 Great Meadow, and 10 Great Meadow, as well as the temporary police station. So this will move from a key system to a fob system for 25 Center Street, 29 Center Street, 33 Center Street, and 61 Center Street. Again, no access that the public has to buildings will change. This is really about building access and management best practice, and we look to bring the rest of the municipal campus online for this security.
Thank you, Mr. Lawler. Questions? Seeing none? Mr. Young.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. It's not clear to me. I mean, I'm in Town Hall like a lot of people in these other buildings, and we go in and we do what we need to do. When you say we'll have access to the buildings, does that mean just to the common areas? And then, you know, we're going to have to be buzzed in, or I'm not clear on that. Can you expound and provide a little more detail, please?
Mr. Lawler.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Thank you, Mr. Young. Yes, any door, any space that you have access to now as a resident or anybody, a member of the public, you'll have the same access to. This is really about the doors when the building is not open for business, so after hours, as well as some internal doors right now that are locked because of either privacy reasons or cash or things like that. So doors that one can't just open right now and walk into, nothing will change there. And then the doors that you can walk into, nothing will change there. No change to access.
So you say it's after hours? Did I hear you correctly?
After hours, correct. Okay. And then some doors right now, like there are some offices that are locked because of security reasons, and you talk to somebody behind the counter, that will move from a key to a fob.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Anything additional? Seeing none. All those in favor? Thank you. All those opposed? Article 3.1 passes. 3.2, Council on Aging, fitness equipment. Mr. Lawler, please.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Article 3.2 replaces the equipment that we have in the Council on Aging's fitness room. Right now, that current equipment is from 2013, 2014, and we're seeing some of the equipment be down for service time. We're having to call in for repairs. Treadmills and things like that aren't usually things that you can often find repair parts to or replacement parts to. And we want to make sure that for safety reasons, all the equipment is consistent and the same. So we're looking for 3 treadmills, 1 recumbent bike, and 1 exercise bike. And all the brand and the equipment will be the same and continue to be monitored for safety purposes.
Thank you, Mr. Lawler. Ways and Means supported this 1300. Select Board supported it 500, and the capital budget vote was 501. Questions on this article? Yes, Ms. Hughes.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Betsy Hughes, Precinct 7. I'm just wondering, this is the kind of thing where I would think we would be able to get a donation of this equipment from something like Lifetime Fitness or one of the other organizations in our town. And I know it's only $30,000, would say it's only $30,000, but it's $30,000. And if at the end of tonight we take chunks out of a number of things, it will actually have real money. So I'm thinking that maybe we should try that first before we actually go about spending money.
Mr. Lawler.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Thank you, Ms. Hughes. So there are some pretty strict rules from Mass General Law that restrict government officials to go out and solicit businesses in some cases, and in this case that would be challenging from a procurement method. And I think that whether or not we'd be getting dollars or whether or not we'd be getting actual equipment, we want to make sure that we're spending money on the actual equipment that is new and it's not getting used equipment, but we really are focusing on what we're sort of permitted to do by law, and we can't solicit donations.
Thank you, Mr. Lawler. Further questions? Ms. Saltman.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Myrna Saltman, Precinct 2. How many of you folks sitting in this room here have seen the room upstairs where the COA has their machines? Could you raise your hand? So I went and took a look the other day, because I'm in that building a lot, and I don't know who uses the machines. And I was pleased to learn that no one can go in the room alone. There has to be two people. If you're an individual, there has to be a volunteer supervising. And there were a couple of women in there exercising. There was the volunteer supervising. It was very impressive. And I was delighted to see that. And the volunteer did give me all the numbers of all the people who do use the machines. I was really surprised. My question is that room ever used by anyone in the recreation department?
Mr. Lawler?
Thank you, Mr. Rudder. I do not believe so. Looking for our recreation folks, but no, it does not.
Is there a reason why that cannot be shared?
No, I don't think so. I think that we often try to find ways that we can have synergies between both recreation, council on aging, any sort of human service function. My guess is it might be a space or use issue, but I think that we can work together with the council on aging and the recreation department to find that opportunity, because we always look for that. So thank you for the suggestion.
Thank you.
Mr. Schmuckler?
Mark Smuckler, Precinct 7. A question about utilization. Do we have any numbers about that? And while I appreciate your clarification, it would be helpful on these requests to have some consistency about utilization, when the equipment was purchased, its age, any maintenance costs. Some of these items have lots of that kind of detail and some don't.
Mr. Lawler, please.
Sure. So yes, thank you for the comment about the backup, and I think the forms and how to best convey that information. And it's something that we've been gathering feedback on, how best to present inconsistency among presentation there. So I appreciate that. As far as utilization, I have anecdotal information that every time that I've been there, it's been pretty well occupied, but I don't have the numbers of how many hours, the treadmills are used per day. But so sorry that I just have anecdotal information that it's been pretty busy every time I've been there. But I appreciate the feedback on how best to present these.
Ms. O'Brien?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Patricia O'Brien, Precinct 2. I've had the pleasure, I guess, to be able to receive the COA newsletter now. But I think the hours are restricted for that room. And to Myrna's point about the safety, I love knowing that there's that safety mechanism for people. And I'm wondering if there's a way to make sure that the Council of Aging or the volunteer base is robust enough to promote more access to the room, because I think it's restricted now only to the morning hours. And I'm sure it would get more use if there was more support for the safety component. Thank you.
Mr. Miller?
It's actually Marge.
Oh, Marge.
Marge wants to talk.
So Marsh said that there are 100 people for a total of 2,600 visits last year.
Also, if Mr. Moderator, if you don't mind, I want
Mr.
to add
Stott,
that
excuse me.
we have, we're
Mr.
thrilled
Stacci?
by the volunteers that we have.
You want to move the question? All those in favor of moving the question? Thank you. Opposed? Clear 2/3. This brings us back to the main motion. All those in favor of the motion? Thank you. Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Bell?
I would just like to say in response for the timing of use that I had called the COA to find out about that. You can use it in off hours as long as you have somebody else with you, so there's a safety issue. So even though it's open on a regular basis, you can utilize it during off hours as well, just as long as there are two people.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Bell. Next article, Conservation Land Management and Acquisition Program, supported by Ways and Means, 1210, Select Board 500, capital budget, 2 in favor, 4 opposed. Opposite? All right. Oops, I'm looking at the next one down, sorry. Conservation Land Management, yes, 4 in favor, 2 opposed. Mr. Lawler.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. So this would provide a small amount of funding, $20,000 for potential appraisals, legal fees, deed examinations, title searches, and other maintenance and monitoring related to the potential acquisition of additional conservation land. So right now we have about 300 acres of conservation land, and from time to time we have folks that come to us that either want to donate land, they either want to sell land to us that is conservation land. It becomes a strategic opportunity for the town and the conservation department to expand our conservation land. And in this cases, we often we don't have a discretionary amount of funds or a budget to be able to fund these types of appraisals or title searches or any necessary legal fees associated with it. So this would provide that amount. And I know we sent out the budget, we sent out a note to town meeting members. The backup says $40,000. That was the request from the department initially, and the administration is recommending $20,000 to fit into our capital improvement program.
Thank you, Mr. Lawler. Questions? Mr. Young.
Thank you. So throughout this budget, there's contingency funds like on every single item. Earlier tonight, and I found out about this at the boot camp, item 86 on page 117, I believe the reserve fund is a fund that the Ways and Means Committee holds for emergencies. We're asking for $20,000 for this, a separate line item. To me, what I would like to see is if the body wants to approve it, I'd rather say, let's not approve it as a separate line item. If something does come up and you want to call it an emergency, that's what the $200,000 is we just approved. So, and I understand they used it for a furnace that came up out of the blue. This is one item that I'm asking to be covered by that reserve fund that we just approved tonight. I appreciate your consideration.
Mr. Lawler, please. Or Mr. Davison, please.
One, I would say that the law says that money in the reserve fund is for extraordinary and unforeseen circumstances or events. And this is clearly foreseen because we're talking about these machines are breaking. Two, remember, like the reserve fund transfer, we end up with $300,000 in there, and in the last 10 years, I think other than this year, one other time we've spent a dime out of it. Otherwise, it goes back into free cash. It gets recertified as free cash. In the next budget season, we put $200,000 in, and then in January we put $100,000 in. It's just there for extraordinary and unforeseen. We just 2 weeks ago did fund $88,000 expenditure for fire hoses and fire gear that was damaged in a fire. And likely we're going to get some or all of that back with an insurance claim, but we're not sure, and that equipment needs to be done now. So that's the kind of thing that we use that money for. I wouldn't want to use it for treadmills.
Hold on.
Okay, so clarification, I think a number of us, that was a misunderstanding. We're talking about $20,000, about unforeseen. Just because it says the possibility isn't mean that we know we're going to be buying any land. And I'm just a person that is starting to say, we got coverage all over the place. We're building up money in a reserve fund, and I don't know about the particular law that you cite, but you could say a lot of things, but we don't know if something's going to happen, so that would be unforeseen. Just because you label it that we might need some land, we may not. And so then again, it's $20,000 sitting there that's not doing anything. I'd rather have some coverage, and we talked about sharing resources just a minute ago, and I hope we're going to talk about that coming up. There's just money spread over all kinds of places here. And so I'd like to see if we could do something on this particular item. I appreciate everybody's thoughts and consideration. Thank you for your time.
Anything further on this? Oh, Doug, Mr. Tate.
David Tate, Precinct 5. I was the negative vote on Ways and Means. What I don't like about this, again, this is for potentially acquiring conservation land. So if people have land that they want to donate to the town, they come and they say, we want to donate this property. The process is it goes through the select board for their decision, and then it comes to us. And really, there's not a lot of due diligence that will need to be done until we strike a deal that we want to acquire the property. For acquisitions, my fear is that someone comes to us and says, listen, I got a bunch of land that I'll give to you. I just don't know what it's worth. So we're now being proactive without talking to the select board, whether we want it or not, about ordering title rundowns, ordering appraisals, and doing a lot of costs that may go nowhere. If we come back and say, okay, we'll buy that land for $100,000, and the person that's going to give it to us says, I thought it was worth $1 million. You know, why go through the process? I think generally the process is that a person that is going to sell us land will have some idea of what they're talking about. They will then start a process with the administration and or the select board to determine, is this something that we want to spend the money on? We then come and we can appropriate at that point appraisal work and all the other due diligence. It's not up for us to go and say, this is what it's worth. I think it's backwards, and that's why I don't think we should support this.
Thank you, Mr. Tate. Anything additional? Okay, all those in favor of the article? Ms. Warren, you go back to your other seat.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Christine Herter Warren, Precinct 4. I support this. I don't think it's a lot of money. Conservation land has a high value for me. I can't say for the rest of the body. I think that if something doesn't come up, then that money's just going to go back into free cash. But it does allow the Conservation Department to begin discussions. If I were to have what I wanted for conservation, it would be much more aggressive in terms of making first right of refusal agreements before land comes on the market. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Warren. Ms. O'Brien. What? Excuse me? Yes, sir. Go ahead, David.
Check. This money does not go back into free cash. It is going to be set up and funded, and most likely next year, they may ask for some more, and again, eventually we'll get to the point where we might not want to fund it, or we'll have other projects, but this does not get returned.
Mr. Lawler?
Thank you. I'll just clarify that I don't think that the process is actually totally inconsistent with what Mr. Tate was mentioning about how these funds would be expended. I think that those discussions and that interest would happen at the board's level and the administration level, and after that consensus is then funds would be expended for an appraisal. So I don't think it's inconsistent with what he laid out, if that would ameliorate any concerns there. Thank you.
Mr. O'Brien?
Hello. Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Patricia O'Brien, Precinct 2. I support this, and like Ms. Warren, I support a more aggressive approach, but I do have a question. I'm trying to understand how how like a one-time land acquisition legal process then flows into like regular maintenance of the property, and like how, I would think that that would be then an operating cost somewhere. So I have that question, and then I have another question.
Mr. Lawler, please.
Sure, thank you, Mrs. O'Brien. I think that the backup could be a little bit clearer about how that is. It would only be general clearing once that acquisition takes place, but the maintenance of it would be an operating cost. And I do want to make one thing clear about the legal mechanism of it too. This would not actually purchase land. This body would approve that. So this would just fund the appraisals, and then if it would move forward, this would be brought as an article, and then this body would either appropriate funds or accept land or do something to actually purchase the land. This wouldn't allow us to change anything about purchasing land.
Thank you for the clarification. The other question is related to like conservation restrictions, and did those also have legal financial implications? Because the difference, I think, is that a land acquisition is then the town would own the property, but a conservation restriction is a situation in which the property owner would still own the property, but in perpetuity, it would be tax-free.
No, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Mr.
Thank you.
Lawler.
Sorry, Mr. Moderator. Thank you. No, in this case, either the town or the town would actually take custody of the land, or the Conservation Commission would take custody and control of the land, and there'd be a restriction based on the use of the land according to Mass General Law, Chapter 97, but it wouldn't be owned by the private owner with a restriction or a deed restriction.
So in this program, but there is a program where a resident could come and say, I actually truly do want to donate, not sell my property to the town, and it can be under a conservation restriction. Is that accurate? I thought that's what the law was.
We'll get a clarification here from
Thank you.
Town Council.
Just to clarify, so there's a couple of different ways to do it, as the member suggested. So a private party could retain the land, and there could be a conservation restriction put on the land, which would restrict the use in perpetuity if it was approved under Chapter 184. Alternatively, the land could be sold to the town under the care, custody, control of the Conservation Commission for open space purposes, and it would receive Article 97 protection, and you could also put a conservation restriction on top of that if you really, really wanted to, but once it gets Article 97 protection, you're pretty good. And then also it could be donated to the Conservation Commission as well. So there's a couple of different ways to accomplish all of those things.
Okay. Mr. Rutfield.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Alex Rutfield, Precinct 5. So, two questions. First, what Mr. Davis is saying and what Mr. Tate said sounded a little inconsistent. If this money isn't used, does it go back into free cash or not? Or does it go into some kind of rotating program that we don't have to refund it again if it's not used, but it's expected to kind of just wait to be used? Oh, and my second question is, if we don't approve this, and then somebody comes along and says, hey, I'd like to donate land to the town, what would happen?
Mr. Lawler, please.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. So if this were to be approved, then it would go into an article fund, which would remain a balance until we saw such time where if we weren't going to use the funds, they would be returned to free cash. But they would actually remain until that time. So the other piece of it is if somebody wanted to donate land, there may be fees that we have to do, whether it's surveys, whether it's other legal fees, or whether it's title search to make sure they actually own the property. So donations may not unencumber the town to costs.
Anything additional? Okay, let's put this one to a vote. All those in favor? Thank you. Opposed? Let's try that once more. All those in favor? Thank you. Opposed? It's clearly a majority in favor, so the article passes. Brings us to 3-4, Conservation Hazard Mitigation Program for $25,000. Ways and Means supported this 12-1-0. Select Board voted 5-0-0, and Capital Budget voted 2 in favor, 4 opposed. Mr. Lawler, please.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Article 3-4. This is also a difference in the backup in that was recommended by the administration from $50,000 and the backup to $25,000, an ultimate recommendation. So this was there was a question earlier about tree management. So right now, the Conservation Department does not have a budget to deal with trees or hazards as they fall on conservation land. There's a lot of times when trees fall in conservation land and they're left there. That's part of sort of the natural environment there. And then there's some cases where there's hazard trees. There was a tree recently that was hanging over a trail and causing a significant hazard that we had to close part of the trail. Right now, we do rely on collaboration and partnerships when we can with other departments, but in this case, additional funds are being requested based on the need to deal with these sort of special tree removals when they do come up. So we are grateful to our partners in Recreation and Public Works when we can use their resources and use their time to help with these hazards, but more and more situations are coming up that the Conservation Department is in need of a budget to deal with these types of hazards.
Questions on this? Mr. Wadilla.
Yeah, Dave Wadilla, Precinct 1. This really feels like maintenance to me rather than kind of a capital item. Can you help explain why this shouldn't just be a bump up in your overall operating budget to accommodate or to, to deal with this type of activity that does sort of feel like it's ongoing maintenance on a regular basis?
Sure, and
Mr. Lawler.
Thank you, and apologies again, Mr. Moderator, I'll get it. Thank you for the question, yes, and that was something that we considered. I think that based on this as a land management article, having it be in an article that can roll from one fiscal year to another is an important aspect of this, because there are years where we can't necessarily time when hazards may occur, and they may occur later in the fiscal year, or they may occur none at all in one fiscal year, and then the next fiscal year we have 3 or 4 trees down from a microburst, from an event that may bring more trees down. So it's really just an element to make sure that the funds can carry over from one fiscal year to another.
Ms. Asher.
Hello, thank you, Mr. Moderator. Kate Asher, Precinct 4. On the description here, it says a hazard fund could also be used to plan and conduct management efforts. Does that include, or does that mean it will be used, for example, to proactively look at the trees before they create a hazard and take them down if they look like an imminent hazard?
Mr. Lawler, please.
Yes.
Thank you.
Anything additional? All right, let's put it to a vote. All those in favor? Thank you. Opposed? Motion carries. Fire Command Vehicle, $94,000. Ways and Means voted 15-0-0 in favor, Select Board 5-0-0, and the Capital Budget voted 6-0-0. Mr. Lawler, please.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. This would replace an outfit Command Car 2, which is an 11-year-old vehicle at this point, significant rot and structural deterioration to the vehicle. This would replace the vehicle, the necessary outfitting related to the lights and sirens for the emergency response, and the radio.
Thank you. Questions on this? Mr. Schmuckler. And then we'll get to Mr. Rutfield.
Mark Smuckler, Precinct 7. Just a quick question. How many command vehicles are there?
Mr. Lawler, please.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. There are 6 command vehicles, and I'm getting an affirmative nod from the fire chief. So that's for fire chief, assistant fire chief, training captain, fire prevention, and emergency medical service lieutenant.
Mr. Rutfield.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Alex Rutfield, Precinct 5. Mr. Smuckler took part of my question, but I did notice in the 5-year plan there's a 5 or 6 figure cost every year for command vehicles. If you have 6 vehicles, I expect most of them to last a decade. So can you kind of go through your plan over the next 5 years about how that money is going to be used?
Mr. Lawler, please.
Sure. So for the out years, I think there's a lesser amount because those are sort of a smaller vehicles. So over the next, we do try to keep them in that 9 to 12-year mark, and over the next several years, the Ford Escapes that are used in the fire command will be replaced. So the idea there being 1 vehicle per year.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. A quick follow-up. I'm just trying to understand, like, are we going to plan to replace them every year for beyond those 5 years, or is it just they happen to be lining up schedule-wise for that right now?
So I think at this...
Mr. Lawler, please.
So I think at this point, that's how they're lining up, but I know that the chief is pretty diligent in working with central maintenance, that right now that's the plan. Those plans can change based on priorities to maybe push out a year or 2. I know that's a priority of the chief to get as much time as he can get out of these vehicles, but I believe they are purchased in this sequence, and then the replacement schedule is on a similar sequence. But in out years, that may not always be the case where we can get another year out of a vehicle. So right now it's based on a plan, but those plans can be adjusted. And then when we can reutilize those vehicles as a hand-me-down vehicle so that we can offset a purchase in another department. That's also something that we do when we think about our fleet management program.
Gentleman here we haven't heard from. Is that Blaze? Mr. Lieber?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Blaze Lieber, Precinct 6. I was just a little surprised to see the car only has like 65,000 miles on it. Is this, I know there's a lot of 10-year-old cars with 60,000 miles on them, and they sell them for like $20,000. So I just wonder why this one is in such rough shape, and maybe with the next one, is there any thought of how it kind of can be maybe improved, take care of it better so it isn't gone by this point?
Mr. Lawler.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Yes, normally we see vehicles with much higher mileage. In this case, the rot and the deterioration, the rot and structural deterioration is what's prompting the recommendation from our master mechanics to replace. But now we do have a program that we didn't have when this vehicle was purchased for undercoating that we have in the DPW budget. Additionally, we have the vehicle wash bay to make sure that salt and other elements that have caused rot and deterioration in the past, we're able to wash those off regularly.
Yes, Mr. Maury.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Bruce Maury, Precinct 1. I didn't know this, but I think you just said the other vehicles are Ford Escapes. This is a Tahoe. Why is this a Tahoe, not an Escape? Curious.
Mr. Lawler.
Sorry, and I might need to go to the fire chief on this, but this is a frontline piece of equipment that responds. This is car 2, the assistant chief's. So different type of fire equipment is going to be in it, different type of level of response. Then those are more administrative vehicles for inspections and that type of thing.
Anything additional? Mr. Young.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I want to, in terms of investigating this particular line item, I did have a conversation with the fire chief. I'd never spoken to him before. He was very helpful, and it was a good conversation. The quote that we received for this particular vehicle, I spoke with the actual, if you see it on there, Thomas O'Connor, the municipal fleet sales manager. He had wonderful things to say about the people that he deals with in Burlington, so I wanted to share that. And because of that, he says he's holding the vehicle. The other thing he did, and the administration's in possession of this, he took $1,000 off that original quote. So I'm glad that he did that. I appreciate his positive comments. I appreciate the comments about, what we can do in the future to hopefully get these vehicles lasting longer. The one final thing I tried to do with the municipal sales manager, I asked if there was other vehicles of equal value or capability. We did get some quotes. Unfortunately, what I didn't know is that the vehicles the fire department uses are bucket seats, and what they had were bench seats. So wanted to share that, and glad for the little bit of a discount, if you will. Very nice, and I'll leave it in everybody's hands for the vote. Thank you for your time. Thank you, Mr. Moderator and administration.
Thank you, Mr. Young. Anything further? Seeing none, nothing. All those in favor? Thank you. Opposed? Chief, looks like you've got a new car. Okay, Fire Department, cardiac monitor equipment replacement, $181,000. Ways and Means voted 1500, Select Board voted 500, Capital Budget voted 600. Mr. Woods, just in case you have something to say on any of these, please make sure I see you. Mr. Lawler, please.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. This replaces the essential monitors for advanced life support defibrillators and care that we have within our ambulances. Those monitors are nearing the end of the life, and we want to make sure we replace those so that the monitors that we use to work with patients in our advanced life support efforts are functional and working.
Thank you, Mr. Lawler. Anything additional? Seeing none. All those in favor? Thank you. Opposed? Motion carries. 3-7, DPW sidearm brush mower attachment, $68,000. Ways and Means supported at 1200. Select Board 500, and the capital budget vote 600. Mr. Lawler, please.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. So this would be a replacement for an attachment for our machine that's used to cut brush on rolled shoulders and overgrowth on sidewalks. So this machine drives along the road and has an attachment to remove brush on the side that may be coming onto the road or coming onto the sidewalk. It's the only brush cutter in the DPW inventory, and there's been a lot of wear and tear on it, and it's in need of a replacement.
Thank you, Mr. Lawler. Questions on this? Seeing none, all those in favor? Thank you. Opposed? Move on to 3-8, DPW, drainage repair stream cleaning, $200,000. Ways and Means supported at 1200, Select Board 500, and capital budget 600. Mr. Lawler, please.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. This is an annual request that DPW has had since 2001 to relieve the localized flooding onto residential properties. This is differing from some of our other efforts to stream cleaning. This is large equipment that needs to come in and clean out streams, and we've identified the list in the backup, and we're lucky to the engineering department and public works that stay on top of this to reduce other hazards that we have in neighborhoods from flooding.
Thank you, Mr. Lawler. Questions? Ms. Murner, Ms. Altman, please.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Myrna Saltman, Precinct 2. As you've been citing each of these requests, I hope everyone has noted that 3 different committees voted on it. It's the Selectmen, it's Ways and Means, it's Capital Budget. And so my thought is there any possibility of the presenters to only have to do it once, and that the 3 different committees sit and listen to the DPW request their items? It seems to me it's a repetitive, and God bless the heads of the departments who are able to request in a clear and concise manner, but there should be a more an easier way for the 3 different groups to hear the requests, and then each of those groups to vote on it. I'm just thinking of time and expediency. That's it.
We'll take it to the Government Review Committee, Mayor.
I'm sorry, take it where?
To the Government Review Committee we have going on. It's looking at these things.
Well, I think they heard me. Thank you very much.
Any questions on this? Seeing none, all those in favor? Thank you. Opposed? Motion carries. DPW PFAS filtration replacement, $650,000. Ways and Means voted 1300, Select Board 500, and Capital Budget 600. Mr. Lawler, please.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. This is an essential part of our water treatment process. This replaces the PFAS filtration system that we're required to do every 18 months to prevent any compromise with our drinking water quality and in compliance with the Department of Environmental Protection.
So, Mr. Flynn? Microphone over here, please. Thank you.
Hi, TJ Flynn, Precinct 2. Just curious, when the MWRA hookup is fully operational, what's the capacity or the percentage of our water that's expected to provide versus Mill Pond?
Mr. White, please.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. So our permit to connect to MWRA, the state requires us to prioritize Mill Pond before MWRA purchase. So we will have to continue to fully utilize to the best possible Mill Pond. It's roughly 40%, 60%, depending on the year. It flip-flops, so it's kind of 50-50.
Mr. Rutfield.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Alex Rutfield, Precinct 5. So you're asking for $650K, but the Callaghan carbon quote is $795. Can you explain that difference?
Mr. Lawler, please.
Thank you, Mr. Redfield. Yes, so we have a remaining encumbrance, or we have a remaining balance from a prior appropriation that we're going to be able to use to offset this. And you'll see in the out years in the backup that the amount is significantly higher because we're going to be studying how much we need and how much based on timing of how long the filter media can last. But this is what I'll call almost artificially low because of that remaining balance that we have, and that we'll continue to use that remaining balance to offset if we have that again in future years. So we do have the funds available from a prior appropriation.
Anything additional? Yes, Ms. Asher.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Kate Asher, Precinct 4. In the description, it says, our resins are not sold by others. I know there are proprietary formulations that, different businesses can offer, but is the system truly limited to the proprietary formulation of this entity?
Mr. White, please.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The vessels are set up for a wide range of different materials. The reason we use this specific resin is it's the only resin that's designed to handle chlorine. And so in order to provide some additional maintenance so we can extend the life of it, it's the only one that allows chlorination, which helps extend the life. As Mr. Lawler said, we are in the process of piloting other types of material, which we hope to be cheaper and perhaps not have to use resin or use resin as a backup in the future.
Anything additional? Okay, all those in favor? Thank you. Opposed? DPW Mill Pond Filtration Sand Replacement, $35,000. Ways and Means supported at 1300. Select Board voted 500 in favor, and Capital Budget voted 600 in favor. Mr. Lawler, please.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Sticking with the topic of filter medias, this replaces the sand filtration system that was installed in 2007 in order to continue producing clean and safe drinking water at Mill Pond.
Thank you. Questions on this? Mr. Boyven.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Bill Boyven, Precinct 1. Just two questions. The first is, if this is a sand filter, is that strictly mechanical filtration? And the second is, what is the source of manganese oxide that is contaminating it after use?
Mr. Lawler. Oh, excuse me. Mr. White.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Yes, it's basically a gravity filter. The water comes in, flows through the sand, and it filters out basically any kind of contaminants that are in the water, natural minerals, metals. And so to the second point, at Mill Pond, the water, much like any water source, has various different things in it. It has naturally occurring manganese, oxide, iron. And so those types of metals and minerals, along with carbonate that builds up on it over the years, is what we can chemical wash it to try to clean it. It also has a backwash feature, so the backwash basically extends the life of the media. However, the backwash and all the scouring that occurs rounds the sandstones that do the treatment. So eventually, once the sand becomes rounded enough, no matter the chemical washing won't work anymore, and it needs to be replaced.
Anything additional? All right. All those in favor? Thank you. Opposed? Motion carries. DPW Water Meter Replacement Program, $250,000. Ways and Means supported at 1300. Select Board voted 500. Capital Budget voted 600. Mr. Lawler, please.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. This is our multi-year water meter replacement program to eventually replace all of the dysfunctioning meters that we might have. So we're asking for $250,000 for this for FY27 for the replacement of slow or inaccurate water meters.
Questions on this? Seeing none, all those in favor? Oh, got to yell. Go ahead, Phyllis. Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Phyllis Neufeld, Precinct 3. You're asking $250,000, but under the description, it says that the department intends to implement a 5-year program at $1 million a year to replace the meters. Could you explain that as opposed to the $250,000 you're asking for?
Mr. Lawler.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator, and thank you for the question. Yeah, so based on if we wanted to replace all meters, the estimate there would be $5 million over a 5-year period. We're evaluating the cost related to sort of the return on that based on the idea that we right now have about $4.8 million in water revenue. So that's sort of the total cost projection. We're only asking for $250,000 this year. I think as we continue to evaluate our water rate plan, as we continue to evaluate later on in the town meeting talking about our water enterprise fund, we may be able to fund more of it through that by sort of really having a solid idea about revenues and expenditures and capturing them all in one place. But this year, we're asking just for $250,000, and we may, at a future town meeting, look at advancing that further.
Additional questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Thank you. All those opposed? Motion carries. DPW Vehicle Replacement Program, $556,000. Ways and Means supported at 1200. Select Board voted 500, and Capital Budget 600 in favor. Mr. Lawler, you get this one too?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. This is our DPW Annual Vehicle Replacement Program to maintain the current fleet. We're asking for an F-350 to be replaced. It had to be advanced a little bit on the schedule because there was Highway 1 was involved in an accident and the vehicle was totaled, so we have to replace that vehicle. And then a loader that is about 19 years old that we're looking to replace, which is critical in our snow fighting operations. And then our Operations 1 vehicle, also a frontline responder to all DPW events, which is 11 years old and was prior to that a police vehicle. So we're looking to replace all 3 vehicles this year, consistent with the replacement program and consistent with the available funds in the capital improvement program.
Thank you, Mr. Lawler. Questions on this? Mr. Maury, and we'll get to Mr. Lieber.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Bruce Maury, Precinct 1. I should know this. I'm not sure if I've asked it before, but I'm curious, has the town or is there a market for used property of this magnitude? 365K, it's a pretty big nut for a truck. But again, it's a big loader. I'm sure it's 19 years, 20 years of service, which is amortization and all that. That's fine. I'm just curious if there's do we as a policy, as we as a town, look to used property like this, or is that not valuable? It's not worth the time. Thank you.
Mr. Lawler.
I'm going to defer to Mr. White, please.
I may ask you to clarify that a little bit. Are you referring to where we receive money back from the existing one when we trade it in, or?
We're buying a new.
Yep.
Is there a used loader somewhere for half the price? I don't know the markets. I don't know.
I mean, there's certainly used vehicles. We typically haven't in the past looked at used vehicles. They come with other risk factors, so.
Anything additional? Oh, yeah, Mr. Lieber, sorry. And then Mr. Young.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Blaise Lieber, Precinct 6. I was looking in the backup. I see that the H1, the one that was in the accident, was a Ford F-150, and you want to replace it with a Ford F-350. So I just wonder why the upgrade. Like, why don't you just replace it with another Ford F-150?
Mr. Lawler, please, or Mr. White.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The F-350 will be able to plow and actually have a size plow on it that is sufficient for the snow removal efforts. The F-150 is a much smaller plow, so this will be used as part of our sort of winter efforts in snow fighting as well on some of the roads.
Mr. Young, you had a question?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. In the backup, I noticed the Explorer. They have a note here, formerly part of the police fleet. So I made a phone call and spoke to Captain Hannaford and some other folks down there, and unfortunately they do not have any current vehicles, but that would have been nice. On the specific vehicles and equipment, you can't assume they're all made in the United States of America, but they all seem to be American companies, so I appreciate that. On the 350, I believe it is, I noticed a line item about tint on the windows. And I'm reading here in Massachusetts, window tint laws require that all windows, including front, side, rear, and windows must be no more than must allow more than 35% of light to pass through. The windshield can only have a non-reflective tint on the top 6 inches or above. So it's just, trying to get information to see if that follows Mass law. Thank you.
Mr. Lawler.
Thank you, Mr. Young. Any tint that we have on the vehicle that is perhaps most likely stock as part of the vehicle's sale will be compliant with Mass General Law.
Move the question.
Question has been moved and seconded. All those in favor of moving the question? Thank you. Opposed? Clear 2/3. Brings us to a vote on the main motion. All those in favor of the DPW vehicle replacement program? Thank you. Opposed? Motion carries. DPW Facility Asset Inventory and Software, $65,000. Ways and Means supported at 1300, Select Board 500, Capital Budget 600. Mr. Lawler, please. Or Mr. Young. Mr.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. So we currently do not have a software program or an asset inventory system to manage the work orders, to manage the maintenance issues, the schedules, and this would bring in the cost of that analysis to assess all of our assets, create that database, and then allow us to have that resource for building management. And then in in subsequent years, the actual cost of the software will be able to be in the DPW budget, but this is the cost for that assessment of assets, the risk assessment, useful life analysis, preventative maintenance schedule building, to be used by DPW and the facilities department, the division, excuse me.
Questions? Mr. Boyven?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Bill Boyven, Precinct 1. I think this is a good use of funds to have a asset inventory and some sort of a plan for what's going to be happening as you see things coming. My question is twofold. Is this specifically for DPW assets, or is this something that would be townwide? And if it isn't, it sounds like something we should have townwide. I think it's a good idea. And is this strictly for buildings, or does assets include things like vehicles?
Mr. White or Mr. Lawler?
Yes, it can be used townwide. The only distinction will be schools. It's the same software as schools, but we do have an asset management system for our fleet, but that can be integrated here, I'm sure. Assets include vehicles.
Mr. White?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. So we actually have, this software is kind of more geared towards facilities and facility maintenance. In prior years, we have upgraded our fleet maintenance, and we do have a specific software that is dedicated more towards vehicles and generators and mobile assets.
Mr. Pearson?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Monty Pearson, Precinct 3. I'm very encouraged to see this item in because we have not had a consistent facilities management program, I think, in the past, which has led to some buildings that needed a great deal of repairs and some that fell apart and got a lot of mold in them and things like that. And I'm assuming that having this program would prevent that from happening.
Mr. White?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I don't know if I'd ever say prevent. Obviously, would cut down on the risk far greatly, but of course, things can fail out of, much earlier than they're supposed to. But the intent of it is not only to get a risk assessment up front and kind of build out a 5-10-year capital plan right from the start, but it also builds in a preventative maintenance program, much of which I think we're doing, but it will assist and remind us when the assets need preventative maintenance to extend the life of everything. and we'll be able to log and track all those work orders that go into it. So if equipment is starting to feel ahead of the estimated lifetime, we should see that, the work orders increase on that piece of equipment and move it up.
I kind of follow-up question is that in what way, Mr. Lawler, are we going to be integrating the information in that into the 5-year budget plan?
Mr. Lawler, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Thank you, Mrs. Pearson. It will be helpful data to inform decision-making at that level. So how this works is for the sort of annual, the annual issuance of the capital improvement program, obviously we receive requests from departments. Those requests exceed available funds based on the plan. So we'll use data to help us prioritize decisions, and this will provide that data to us.
Okay, and is this data is also shared with the heads of departments so that they know that their buildings are falling apart or being well maintained?
Yes, I mean, those departments that occupy those buildings that are serviced by the facilities division of DPW are in constant contact with them and help shape those decisions as well.
Okay. I mean, we have had buildings in the past that have deteriorated a great deal, and so that's why I'm asking this question, and it requires coordination between a number of people, and I'm hoping that this software facilitates that.
Mr. Murphy.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Chris Murphy, Precinct 5. Just a quick question. Who's going to use the software? Do you have enough staff? Does this require sort of somebody new that will oversee it? Is there training involved? I've seen lots and lots of software implementations go south. So.
Mr. White, please.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. So this does include training. We do have staff that performs general maintenance, more of the advanced maintenance. We have contractors come in that specialize in that. We will have tablets assigned to each person, and then part of the work order system of the software, that's how they'll get work orders generated to them. So they'll see in the morning when they show up, this is what they have to do. But to your point, yes, I expect myself, the operations manager, and the facility superintendent to have play a heavy role in overseeing the whole management of it. And then to the point on the contractors, we can set them. We plan to set them up with kind of guest accounts where they can log in the stuff that they're doing as they're in, so that we're well tracking what they're doing to the equipment.
Thank you, Mr. White. Anything additional? Okay. All those in favor? Thank you. All those opposed? Motion carries. DPW, Greenleaf Water Tank Rehabilitation Design, $75,000. Ways and Means vote 1300, Select Board vote 500, and Capital Budget vote 600. Mr. Lawler or Mr. White, one of you?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Article 3-14 is the design for our largest rehab of our largest water tank, which holds 4 million gallons of water. This would fund the analysis and design to prepare those reports, drawings, and specifications to rehab the tank in a future year, which will be brought before this body, likely in the request of a borrowing authorization in a future year.
Thank you. Questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Thank you. Opposed? Motion passes. DPW sewer pump station and generator replacement, $120,000. Ways and Means vote 1300, Select Board vote 500, Capital Budget vote 600. Mr. Lawler or Mr. White?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. These funds are from our sewer enterprise fund, the replacement of the generators to support the continuity of operations at our pump stations should there be a power outage, which prevents sewer overflows.
Questions on this? Yes. Sarah. Sorry, your last name's slipping my mind. Walensky, thank you.
Sarah Walensky, Precinct 5. I noticed in this item there was a mention of aged generators, portable generators, and other things. Wondering why are portable generators a part of what looks to be a pretty permanent piece of infrastructure? Because I imagine anything portable has additional costs associated with being mobile.
Mr. White, please.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. So we currently have 2 portable generators, trailer mounted, that we can bring to any pump station, and one of the large one that we have for Terrasol, which is a very large load, could also be used for facilities if needed. But we have the 2 because if there is a failure at the generator there, or a tree comes down and takes the whole thing out, we have something that we can bring to the site. So the intent is several of the generators that we're targeting are from the 90s. The idea is that we're looking for maybe like an every other year kind of replacement program to spread out the costs. The first request would be to replace the age portable generator. That way, if one of the generators that are from the 90s goes down, we at least have a portable one we can bring. Once we get this replaced, we'll start targeting the stations themselves.
Allocatable resource. That answers my question. Thank you.
Okay, Historical Society, West School Storage Shed. Oh, we didn't vote on it? We supposed to do that? Oh. Okay, all those in favor? Thank you. Opposed? I just assuming you're all going to say yes, that's all. Yes, Myrna.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Myrna Solomon, Precinct 2. 2 points of information. Number 1, how many of our wonderful 126 town meeting members are present this evening?
98.
98. It's good temperature. Second point, can we please have a 5-minute stretch? 5 minutes, everybody, not 15.
5 minutes, but I'm starting the clock now.
Thank you.
Five minutes is more than up. But I had to get water.
Right here.
Sorry that I keep talking without permission.
It's all right.
I'll get all the wrinkles out this one time, but don't throw me out.
You don't get out that easy. It's a good try. I have to stay. You gotta stay. Come on, folks. Let's get going. June's a coming. I don't want to be here then. Okay, next item up, 3-16, from the Historical Commission, West School Storage Shed, $100,000. Ways and Means supported this 930. Select Board vote was 311, was that right? 310. And capital budget voted 410 in favor. Mr. Lawler, I suppose.
Thank you very much, and there's some slides that the town clerk is going to be pulling up momentarily that were also sent to you earlier today, and there are plenty of copies up back there at the table. And so we're presenting on behalf of the Historical Commission, who may have folks here tonight, maybe joining us in a few minutes. So we'll be going through the request that the Historical Commission has long been working through. So I'll start talking, and when the slide's up, you can follow along there, or you can grab a copy. So it has long been a goal of the Historical Commission to have a storage shed to store artifacts and other historical materials. Since 2016, the Historical Commission has been working on this project. In 2002, the Historical Commission requested $33,000 from town meeting, and those funds were appropriated. $27,000 remains available from that article. Since that time, there's been a special permit process that brought the Historical Commission in this project before the Planning Board through building officials. And that process, based on the siting of the shed and elements of the shed, has certain requirements need to be met from the foundation, from other aspects of the sheds, the shed within. It is the goal that Shawshene Tech students will help build this shed to defer significant costs related to a general contractor. So the goal here, as we walk through this and you see elements of the budget, is that the shed will not have a general contractor, and those funds will instead be saved by engaging with the students in the program at Shawshene Tech. All right, we're going to keep rolling if that's okay with everybody. Cost estimates as of May 2026, this month, $19,872 for building materials, so all of the lumber, the windows, the pieces of the nails, things like that. Then the concrete flooring and footing, so the base that will go down at the existing site. The cost for that alone is $34,626. That's an estimate at this point. We will be going through a competitive bidding process for that. Electrical and HVAC, based on conditions from the special permit, $11,400. And then that brings us to our total direct costs of $65,898 as the shed is designed. In addition to that, we are recommending a 10% contingency, so that brings total costs to $72,488. As I mentioned earlier, there are available funds from 2022, that appropriation. There's $27,886 remaining there. So that brings us to what is required for an appropriation for this shed to be built, based on an estimate. If the Shawshene technical students were to build it, the required appropriation would be $44,602. The administration, as this article came forward, recommended to the Historical Commission to request $100,000 based on the uncertainty and unknown if Shawshene technical school students would be available for this project. So, as I mentioned, the costs are about $44,000 if the technical school students are available to do this project. But there are some unknowns if that were to not be the case. So we recommended that general contractor contingency of a little over $50,000 should they be able to be available to build the shed. And there are several images of the shed contained in the packet that was sent out and hopefully up on the slide soon, as well as the front elevation, the side, rear, and additional renderings that place the shed next to the West School, which is the desired location the Historical Commission wishes to locate it.
Mr. Moderator, may I add something? May I add something?
Please, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Mr. Lawler was talking about if we were able to partner with Shawsheen through this. We have spoke to Shawsheen. Both members of the Historical Commission have been speaking to them with quite some time. I was able to speak to the superintendent just this week, and they want to help with the project. They just don't have the final timing of everything down yet, so they don't know where it would fit in, and we don't have the money yet. So once that timing is all worked out, the reason we moved forward with the $100,000 request instead of something like half of that is because we don't want to have to come back if the timing doesn't work out and we have to bid the project to have a contract to build it. So I did want to just add that Shawsheen is on board as far as they like the project, they want to partner with us, but that just the contract and timing and all of that hasn't been worked out yet. So that's why we moved forward with the number that is higher. If all works out, we partner with Shawsheen, we get it built, and we don't spend all of the money. It just closes out when the project closes out. It would go back to free cash, yep.
Okay, here are the slides that I just talked about, and I won't put you through that again, but this is the breakdown of the budget here that I mentioned, and as the town administrator just outlined. So I think this is probably a good place to leave the slide for that understanding as well. You can look through the renderings as well.
Okay, let's put this up for discussion. Mr. Eiler.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. John Eiler, Precinct 6. I was one of the no votes on this. So the first thing to realize is it's called a shed, but realize it's at 40 by 20 feet. It's the size of my house pretty much in terms of the footprint, so it's not a casual shed. Back in 4 years ago when we allocated $33K for this project, the backup and presentation highlighted the fact that while primary usage was storage, it would also be a way to display artifacts, and that in fact it would be open to people when they came to the West School, that they'd also be able to view artifacts in this building also. Unfortunately, one of the conditions of special permit is that the public is not allowed in this building now, and it's strictly for storage only. So one of the touted benefits has disappeared from the project. I also, the cost issues are something that really is striking on this project. The original project was planned at $33K. This is an additional $100K, so this is ballooned to 4 times its original estimated cost, which is way outside of anything we would accept in any other project. I understand that the goal is to use Shawsheen, but as noted, we can't depend on that. If we could depend on it, we wouldn't be asking for the full amount. So we have to assume that it's a real possibility we'll end up spending that 4X amount. There are a number of things that conditions were put on this by the planning board and the building inspector and so on that have not been included in the cost estimate that you heard from our assistant town administrator. So in particular, there was a condition to add heating and air conditioning that was not in the original plan. So that implies that presumably you want to insulate this building now. And if you're insulating it, now you need to put paneling to cover up the insulation. So that's on all the walls, on the ceiling. So that's a cost that's not in there. Another thing that they put in the conditions was cedar shingles. So this is also not in the cost estimate. So there's a number of things that are going to drive the cost up beyond what the original cost estimate, or the new cost estimate is right now. And with so one of the potential benefits, of course, is you save the $160 a month roughly that's being spent on the storage pod right now. I think you'll find that now heating and air conditioning has been added, that the electrical costs may start approaching that, so even that potential cost savings is gone. So what I would say in conclusion is this is really a very expensive solution just to store a bunch of stuff. And if the only thing it's doing is storing things. Let's, use the current pods or get a second one even if you have to. I'm not seeing the point of why we need to spend this much money to store things. Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Lieber. Then I'll get to Mr. Prue.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Blaze Lieber, Precinct 6. One of my constituents actually reached out to me today, and they had numerous concerns in general, but I think specifically they used this shed as an example. A few kind of questions. One is what are these artifacts? Do they have like an actual like historical value, or are they just kind of old stuff? Also, there's a question of like what is the kind of sort of benefit to the citizens of Burlington? I mean, will they be allowed to go into this shed and look at these artifacts, or is it just going to be kind of locked up? And also, I mean, if no one's looking at them, why do we have them in the first place? And I'm not trying to be condescending at all. It's just these are just questions that were asked of me, and I didn't have the answer to them. And I think one other thing is has it been investigated if there's other public buildings that these artifacts can be stored in other than this shed? Thank you.
Mr. Denizio, please.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The way it was explained by the Historical Commission is that by having this shed will allow them to move items or artifacts that are currently in the museum or in the West School in order to better utilize both the museum and the West School. They can keep these things instead of lying around in those buildings, they can keep them in the shed, but also to move artifacts that are right now being stored in a Conex box or storage trailer into closer to the West School for ease of putting on display or things like that. Is that your only question, or was it a second part? I'm not sure about that. I don't think there's anyone from the Historical Commission here, but.
Mr. Prue.
Michael Prue, Precinct 4. I grew up on Francis Wyman Road, and I don't know, I got a couple of questions about this. First of all, the building looks bigger than the West School itself. And in my entire life, and I've lived on Francis Wyman Road my entire life, 63 years, the 5 times that I ever went into West School when it was opened, it was empty. There were like 3 or 4 old-time desks in there, and that's it. And I think the money would be better spent to do the West School over to accommodate and store it there. It'll never be open to the public. There's no parking there. That's an undersized lot. I know that section of Burlington's Havenville, the Havens had that West School moved there back in, like the end of the 1800s. And then they gave it back to the town, is my understanding. But there's no parking there. And I don't know how it would ever be open to the public. That's a tough intersection as well. And the lot's small. You might be able to fit it, after that building goes up, you might be able to fit 1 car in a driveway. You're not going to be able to get the general public in there. So I'm against this. I think there's other options. The fact that it's bigger than the West School, and like I said, the West School's it's actually got a basement too. That it was, the 5 times I went in there, that's empty. And I think the money would be better spent to do the West School over and store the stuff in there because it's always closed. That's my point.
Mr. Tucci, way up the back.
Hello. Hi, Liz DiTucci, Precinct 6. I'm having a hard time with this one for a couple reasons. And no one's here from the Historical Commission?
It appears not.
Okay, so,
It
sorry.
seems there was a miscommunication somewhere and they're not here.
Okay. So I think I heard, one question is, I think I heard this is a building that people could go in, not a shed, right? You cannot go in it. So it needs heat. Okay. So next, I don't love the idea that we're building in, it sounds like Shashin agreed to build it, but we're building in the contingency in case they can't. And I don't love that idea because it's pushing the price up a lot. And third, have alternate funding sources been explored, like a grant, if this is historical artifacts? Thanks.
Mr. Denizio.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator, and I will reiterate that it's my fault on the communication error of why I'm up here trying to answer the questions instead of the Historical Commission. I think the question about grants was the last one. That's the one I remember, but refresh me on the first one if I miss it. As far as grants, I know that they've been thinking about this shed for 10 years. I think they first started talking about it in 2016. First got an appropriation in 2022, I believe. So they have had opportunities to try for grants. I can tell you there's not a lot out there for something like this, but I can't say that anything was ever submitted or not.
You know, in fairness to the Historical Commission, should this be postponed till next Monday? Just a suggestion. Okay, let's try this side of the room. Cora, go ahead. Mr. Everett.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Corey Everett, Precinct 6. Something about me is that I graduated from Shawsheen, and I'm familiar with their co-op program. I'm generally not thrilled about the concept of student labor being discussed as a cost-saving measure, but at the same time, I respect that this could be valuable experience for the students. My question is, will these students, should they get the project, be compensated for their work, and if so, how much?
Mr. Denizio, please.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I believe this is just part of their shop program, so they would be there with a license. I've seen some nodding in the back. So they would be there with their licensed instructor, who would be their pay would be their experience, I guess, of building the shed.
Mr. Monaco.
Testing, 1, 2, 3. Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Frank Monaco, Precinct 4. I understand that there's a lot of people here that think this is a waste of money. I get it. On the other hand, the Historical Commission is trying to do something that is pretty unique, and this may be a bad project, it may not be, but I think it's wholly unfair that none of them are even here to talk to us about it. And I know some of you already said I refuse to postpone to a time certain. I think we should, and I'm going to make that motion rather than speak about any other aspects of this, which I could. I'd rather do when they're here. So I'm going to make a motion to move this to, I'm assuming we'll be back here on a Monday night, to a time certain. If you want an actual time, we can pick one. John, you suggest one? I'd say off the top. After the Pledge of Allegiance, and just before the Star Spangled Banner. Okay, so I make a motion to move this at time certain, Monday, 7 p.m. Thank you.
Discussion on the motion. Mr. Young.
So I would like to ask, this has been going on since 2016. It's important for them. It's important for us to make a good decision. how many people are on that committee? And, you know, I assume they all live in Burlington. I don't know when they found out about this, but I'm sorry, Mr. Denizio, I'd like to have a little more information about if there's 10 people, not one person could be here to speak to something that they've been, you know, talking about since 2016. So that's my question. Thank you.
Mr. Denizio.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. To answer, the communication issue is on my end. They were going to be here the other night. We told them that we were going to ask to postpone till we could get an answer from Shasheen. We sort of have an answer from Shasheen. We just don't have the finalized answer that the administration would rather have it definite. So that's where the confusion came in about expecting it to be postponed again. So I think that answers your question.
Mr. Davison.
So I would just say that we did have a long discussion, and as Frank said, I'm not sure if this is a great project or not, so I understand the concerns. In defense of the Historic Commission, I would say that they came to 2 meetings with us. They've come to meetings with us over the last multiple years about this, so it's not out of apathy on their part. There are not many of them, and quite frankly, they're a little bit older. And so it's a real effort for them to come to meetings at night and to be here, and so I would ask you not to take offense that they're not here tonight, because they've shown more than dedication to this, and it does mean a lot to them. And so that's what I would say as far as the motion.
Any further comments on the motion to postpone? Just on the motion to postpone. I don't know who you are up at the back, but you're not sitting where you should be if you're a town meeting member. I can't recognize you. Get where you're supposed to sit, please.
I'm wondering if we can wait until...
I can't hear you. Please use the microphone. Please identify yourselves.
Jamie Greitzer, oh, that's loud. Precinct 1. I'm wondering if we can wait to see if we need a Monday day before we decide to postpone and then have to be here for the Monday.
Well, I'm pretty good at moving things along, Jamie, but I am not a magician.
So then we're going to be here anyway. We might as well postpone.
And please sit with where you're supposed to be in the town meeting section, where I won't recognize you again. Okay, let's put this to a vote. The motion to postpone. All those in favor? Thank you. All those opposed? Thank you. It's a clear majority to postpone. Thank you. I think that was the proper thing to do. All right. Okay, 3-17 from the Recreation Department, Simonds Park renovation and improvement, $200,000. Ways and Means voted 1300. Capital budget voted 501. Do we have someone to speak on it briefly? Brendan, go ahead, sir. Mr. Egan.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The request is for planning and design for the renovation of the Simonds Park playground, wading pool, and bathroom building. This was, we had a conceptual plan, as you may recall, during our outdoor facility master plan a few years ago. We sought public input during the tree lighting that year, and we had another public meeting as well throughout that process. These funds would go to the design, construction documents, and bid documents to then proceed with the renovation in a future year.
Thank you, Mr. Egan. Questions on this? Ms. Simonds?
Martha Simon, thank you, Mr. Moderator. Martha Simon, Precinct 3. I love Simonds Park. I want it to be accessible to every child. It probably needs a facelift. And we really, as was pointed out Monday night, are not going to be voting on a $200,000 cost, but it's actually a $4 million project that we would be committing ourselves to. I also would like to have a high school that's accessible to every child, and the town made it very clear that that was not a priority. I feel like I'd love to have all those improvements, but I can't vote for this until we can provide a school that has similar updated facilities at our high school. I also, if there was a way to divide it up into smaller projects, maybe that could be something that could be passed on from year to year. And I also know that there's a Simonds Trust Fund that funds lots of things at Simonds Park over the years, and that's wonderful. And I'd like to see the Recreation Department work with the Simonds Trust to figure out how they could fund these renovations. It would be lovely on the Simonds Trust Fund, because there's a lot of money that comes here every year. I think it's close to $100,000 a year. Maybe there's a way that that money could be leveraged. Maybe we wait one more year to upgrade something else so that we can plan ahead and save money. And I just can't vote for this project. I'd rather put the money aside, and you'll hear me say this later tonight again, in some kind of capital, what's the word I was looking for? Capital project special purpose stabilization fund to provide funding for a high school that is going to have to happen sooner than later, some kind of reserve fund. So I am going to vote against this, sadly, because I would love to see a brand new Simonds Park. But I think the town made it very clear that we can't be spending money like that on things that are just nice upgrades.
Is that Ms. Leone back in the back there?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Florence Leone, Precinct 1. I think Simonds Park is really tired. My grandchildren use it all the time. And I don't agree with Ms. Simonds. I think it should be updated. But I'm just curious. I didn't see it in the quote that was attached. Are we going to be using like a rubber surface on the floor, on the ground, or are you going to go back? You're still going to use the wood chips that are currently there?
Mr. Egan, please.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Yes, it will be a port-and-play surface throughout the playground area.
Going with landscape structures, or have you put it out to bid for the equipment?
The final equipment has not been decided yet. That will be part of this process. We'd like to look at the best equipment from a number of different manufacturers, because each of them makes something that's stands out for that piece of equipment.
And one last comment. I'd just like to say Rohannes Park looks beautiful. I love the work you did there. Overlook Park looks great, and just keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Boyven?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Bill Boyven, Precinct 1. I'd be in favor of this, the first part of this, the $200,000 for the design. I don't take that as a commitment to the $4 million to do the work. Once we have a design, we could piecemeal that, prioritize the individual pieces, and put them on a bit by bit through annual budgets, and also try to get something from the Simonds Fund that might supplement some of that. But I would vote in favor of the design of what needs to be done, and then put it in priority order.
Mr. Monaco.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I want to follow on with Mr. Boyven just said. I think we're a little bit, at least I suspect we're a little bit confused here. The single biggest criticism we had about the field project at the Simonds school area was we didn't have a design done way up front, so that we were kind of not as sure as we would have liked to have been, and they've worked really hard to battle through all of those issues and get it done. So here we are trying to do a comprehensive look at what it needs, what could be done with it, what it would cost, whether it could be done in pieces or not, we don't know. You have to do it. It is the most important recreation, particularly outdoor recreation facility in the town. It's the centerpiece. So I don't know why we wouldn't say it's time to take a real hard look at it, get some architectural and consulting input, get some community input, and put together a plan to rebuild that park for the next 40 years. And you can't do that without sitting down and looking at the whole thing, in my opinion. So I think Mr. Boyven is right. And I would not conflate this with the high school. Even if this ended up costing $4 million over, it probably would get bonded, and it would be over at least a 10-year period. In my opinion, you shouldn't mix this up with a $200 to $400 million high school. They're just not the same animal. So either you want to work on your recreation facilities or you don't, and either you think Simonds Park is due for this kind of a look, and this is the way to start. I think it's the right way to start if you're going to do it, and it doesn't commit you to building anything in 2 years or even 3 years or how much. You're trying to figure out what you want to do. So I would vote for this, and I am completely on board with the fact that our capital appetite outstrips the available capital in the immediate time frames. We're going to have to space and pace what we do, but this is the way you get started on this park. Forget it. So I would vote for it. Thank you.
Mr. Ruckfield.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Alex Ruckfield, Precinct 5. So I'm wondering, okay, what I'm trying to understand is why now? It might not have updated we might not meet update standards for accessibility and inclusivity, which are definitely great things to add. But we do it now, 20 years from now, well, then that would probably not be updated as well. I kind of view those things as things that get gradually better over time. Whatever park you have is going to get gradually further and further behind until you do it again. So I'm also wondering, is there condition issues with the playground and the area around it now? The description only mentions a little bit of where, so I'm hoping you could talk a little bit more of okay, these things should be replaced soon, not just because they're old, but because of safety concerns or other issues.
Mr. Egan, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Moderator. Yes, the equipment is 27 years old. It is getting harder to replace. The wear and tear on it is really making it more difficult to keep it safe. So there is a safety factor to this 100%.
Mr. Glantz.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Nolan Glantz, Precinct 1. A couple of questions. One is there a way to structure the project so that it would be potential to space it out over a period of years rather than a big bang? The second question is, it does feel like the Simonds Trust funds could have been, should have been, maybe in the future could be more used for this rather than small things there, little there that are nice to have versus save up those funds for 10 years and then boom, do a big project with them instead of doing the little tiny maintenance projects that we do along the years with it compared to this. So is there a way to use those funds for this?
Mr. Egan, please.
Yes. So can you just repeat your first question? I'm sorry.
Would there be a way to structure the project to space it out over time rather than all at once?
Yes. So we could look at that with landscape architect and figure as we're going through the planning in the design phase and figure out how it, have a second option of phasing these different aspects of it in. As far as the Simonds Trust, they are bound by law to disperse a certain amount every year. In order to jump into their larger funds that are in there, it requires going to, and council could correct me, going to the Attorney General for permission to break the trust. So over the course, we could save the funds over the course of a number of years and then put that towards the project. We're just delaying the project and the safety. We may have to remove items from the playground and not make it whole it would not be a complete playground any longer. So trying to do this, and as Mr. Monaco mentioned earlier, come up with a design so that we know what the potential costs are in the future years.
Go ahead, Nolan.
Hello, thank you. So in hindsight, which of course is 2020, I wish we had been saving some of that money because, and if we can, if this does pass, if we can structure it so that we space it out and look to use/save up those funds. If you figure 10 years worth of those funds would be $1 million of this $4 million, which is material impact of the project. So it really feels like we should figure out a way to use. I didn't necessarily mean break the trust per se, of course, but it feels like that's kind of what this was for. You save along to then do a big project, kind of like when you're saving up for your house projects, right? You go a few years without doing things and then you have the money to do a bigger thing. Would be, I think, good responsibility here.
Mr. Egan, comments?
Yes, the other item with the trust is that the trustees approve how the funds are used. We provide them with projects. They really, we'll talk about the trust maybe Monday night, but they approve them. So we could pitch them this saying we'd like to save the money over the next 5 years and have maybe $500,000 if that's how much is dispersed. But it's up to them if they want to fund it.
Ms. Asher, then I'll get to Mr. Schmuckler.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Kate Asher, Precinct 4. So my question is, what are we voting on? Is it just the $200,000 for the design? And then at future times, we will have the opportunity to vote on the funding or different phases and so on. Thank you.
Mr. Egan.
Yes, that is correct.
Mr. Schmuckler. And then I'll get to Ms. Weber. Is that over the back? Ms. Weber.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Mark Smuckler, Precinct 7. I'm concerned here about spending $200,000 on a design when we really don't have a concept. Just 2 years ago, there was in the materials a figure of $2 million as opposed to $4 million, half the money we might be talking about in the future. It suggests to me that we have a moving concept of what this is, and I don't want us to end up in a situation where we have funded $200,000 for a concept we're not going to move forward with. I'd much rather see us invest 10% of this amount to try to develop a concept that we can probably afford in the future.
Mr. Egan.
We do have a concept. There is a conceptual plan in the backup, and I believe the original was just over $3 million. But with price increases, we asked Wesson and Sampson, who had done the conceptual plan, to give us an updated estimated cost, and that is what is in the backup now, which is the exact number is 3.796. Thank you. Yes. And it also includes bathrooms and the wading pool portion of it as well. And splash features, yes.
Ms. Weber.
Amy Weber, Precinct 7. Waltham built a universal park that cost $9.5 million. It attracted so much traffic and it created so much traffic congestion in certain areas because people are coming from all over Massachusetts to come to this park. I think we need, like Frank Monaco said, we need some community input. I am a little concerned with the 200,000, then you're saying 4 million, but if you're going to do a park of this magnitude, I really think that we need some better numbers, and I think that we should be reaching out to Waltham to kind of figure out what went wrong, what they did, what didn't work for them, get some kind of input from Waltham's project, from the community, and really do a little bit more. For the bathrooms, we have, you know, disgusting porta sheds outside our food concessions at the high school. We have different priorities in this town, and we really need some like-minded individuals getting on all of the boards in the meetings to really get these things moving along and really thinking logically about it. I'm not opposed to a new park. I think it's important, but I think we really need to have some better numbers in the budget, and I just can't see $200,000 for design when we're not doing the legwork ahead of time.
Mr. Pearson. Then we'll get to Ms. Warren right behind him.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Monty Pearson, Precinct 3. I think this is the perfect example of the thing about the camel sticking its nose under the tent just before it barges in. The history of projects, capital projects in Burlington is that once we have voted a substantial amount of money, $200,000 for a design study, then there becomes pressure on the group to go ahead and fund the design that is put forward, because otherwise we've wasted $200,000. And that is exactly what some people will say a year or two from now when the design comes back in is, well, you can't waste $200,000 by not appropriating this $4 million. And I think that that's the kind of dynamic that happens over and over and over again. And I think that that is not the way that we should be doing capital planning. And the question here is, do we want to spend $4 million right after we bought a new police department and we are getting a new school? You know, we just had a vote by the voters that said they didn't want us to be piling on more debt right at this moment. And $4 million is a really big project. And in a few more years, it's going to be $6 million. And I don't think that we're likely to get a design plan that says, oh, let's spread it out over this period of time. Developers and designers like to have everything done all at once in a neat package. And any attempt by us to split it up is going to be very difficult to do, especially on the floor of town meeting, to take a $6 million plan and say, well, we're going to vote $2 million this year for this and this and this. It gets really difficult to do that. And so you end up spending for the whole thing. So if we're not willing to spend $4 million in a couple of years for this project, then I don't think we should be spending this $200,000.
Yes, sir, up at the back. Oh, excuse me. I recognize Ms. Warren to come next. Then I'll get to you. Sorry. Ms. Warren, please.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Christine Herter Warren, Precinct 4. My question is whether the $100,000 from the Marshall Simonds Trust that we're going to vote on Monday, if that could be used toward the design, or would that lock us, if we did do that, if they did accept that, would that lock us into renovating the park? For sure. Thank you.
Mr. Egan, can you handle that one?
We could ask them to consider the $100,000, but I don't think that would get us the design services completely. So I guess the short answer is it wouldn't lock you into anything.
Now, gentleman over here.
Ted Manka, Precinct 2. A couple questions. Have we looked at the replacement cost of replacing the playground equipment if we're saying that it's dangerous? My estimation would be that it would be far less expensive. The other thing that I just wanted to kind of talk to the town about is about conflating funds and conflating the school with the playground. If we don't get any funds from the state, we're looking at $1/3 billion asteroid that's coming for this town. I think we have to be conservative with how we're spending money, making sure that we're saving, doing the right things. And another thing, just to back up what Monty was saying, is that when people do designs, there is pressure, absolutely, to not waste that money. We've seen it before. It happens again. And at some point, Monty, you're going to have to explain the camel's nose thing to me. Thank you.
Mr. Davison?
Thank you. So, as was reported, Ways and Means voted 13-0-0 in favor of this, and I think it's obviously a community decision, and it's a little bit of a values decision. We have a beautiful park in the center of town. It's used by maybe more residents than use any other facility in our community. 2 years ago, this body voted $4.7 million to build 1.5 soccer fields or sports fields. They're going to be beautiful. But I would say that this facility will get way more use. Throughout the year, you see children at the baseball fields and siblings are playing in the playground. The concession stand is used, the bathrooms are used. Things wear out. We have to decide if we want to replace them and keep them. So on one hand, we get angry because we kicked the can down the road, and now we're talking about kicking the can down the road. We have a nice park. We need to take care of it and keep it nice. And at some point, you have to replace things and kind of do a redo. And I had one more thought, and I lost it, so I'll let you.
Mr. Riggs, please.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Roger Riggs, Precinct 3. I'm on the Ways and Means Committee and on the subcommittee that talks to the Recreation Department. Just a comment about the Simonds Trust. Over the years, my impression, and through Mr. Egan, that they prefer not to be the sole funder of things on the park. They prefer to support programs and directly support individuals that are using the park. They really don't want to be, the cornerstone of that. So in my opinion, you should not count on the trust for basic maintenance and construction of the park. They are an adjunct. They are a big fan of the park. They really want to help the people who use the park, and we should leave them their own choices about what they want to fund. They are very generous, and it's very much appreciated. But if you try to suggest that they should use their money for your purposes, don't do that. Thank you.
Ms. Byer? And then we'll keep moving backwards to Mr. Lieber.
Kathy Byer, Precinct 2. I haven't spent much time at Simonds Park since about 35 years ago, but it was a very important place to go for an activity. I see the use of it every time we have a function on the town common. I want to go back and I agree with what Mr. Monaco said. That $200,000 is for coming up with a plan of what is going to be needed in that park, what needs to be fixed, how we want it fixed, how we want it designed, and they can also come up with a plan for how to implement it in stages based on discussions with people in the community. It's important that we have a plan going forward so that we don't spend money where it's not going to be necessary to create that crown jewel next to the town common. I think that that's right there in the town center of Burlington, and I think that we owe it to the town to make sure that it has, I don't know, it's a beautiful spot. We should be taking care of it and making sure that it is used by everyone. This is not an either or for the schools. This is $200,000 to be coming up with a plan. And I think that that is more important than deciding whether or not we're going forward with the whole thing. Otherwise, we're going to nickel and dime this going forward, or as Doug said, we'll be kicking the can down the road. So I'm in favor of this. Thank you.
Mr. Lieber.
Thank you, Ms. Moderator. Blaise Lieber, Precinct 6. I've taken my kids to this park a bunch of times, and one thing I noticed was there's like a big list of corporate sponsors. I think Blockbuster was the #1, I think. So that's how long ago that was done. But I would just say I would like to know what percent of the park was funded by sponsorship or the bricks that got sold, and do you anticipate being able to fund it partially in that way again? Thank you.
Go ahead, Mr. Egan.
I was not here when the sponsorships for the park at that time when it was built, so I can't answer what percentage, and I'm not familiar with how the process went at that time. We have had some interest from a resident that lives by the park that works in the corporate community in Burlington in potentially soliciting some of those businesses on behalf of the town. And one of the things was having a conceptual plan that they can shop around. So I think that person is still interested in assisting with that. Both she and her spouse work in the corporate world in Burlington and have some connections and have a feeling that there could be some sponsorships, potentially.
Yes, is that Renee in the back? Oh.
Hello, Mr. Moderator. Thank you. Carrie Callahan, Precinct 4. Just a point to bring up with the park. I don't even go to Simonds anymore because it's so dated. I don't take my kid there anymore. I go to another park that's frankly way cooler. And the Fernald Park is huge. It's geared to be huge. Simonds Park would be a different park. And also, there's a thing when you bring families here, hey, they're going to frequent the businesses around here. They're going to bring in more money. That's something to think about. You know, the whole bring me to Burlington, like a little like enticement to go to True North for coffee or go to, you know, one of our other establishments for food. So getting the people here and keeping them here, that's a good point to help with our establishments, to help with our commercial base. Just another little food for thought.
Mr. Connors. There's been a motion to move the question. Not debatable. All those in favor? Thank you. Those opposed? It's clear 2/3 in favor. The motion passes, which brings us to a vote on the article. All those in favor of the article? Thank you. All those opposed? Thank you. It's a clear majority, and the article passes. Yes, Ms. Simonds.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Martha Simon, Precinct 3. I would just like to follow up and make a request. I don't expect the trust to fund the entire project. I would request that the Recreation Department consider the issues that were raised tonight and have that discussion with the trust. Maybe they could pay for half of the design, or they could pay for the bathrooms, or I know they pay for specific projects. So I hope that the Recreation Department and the Recreation Commission will look forward, go ahead on that. And now that you have the money to hire a design firm, I think it's really important that the Recreation Department set out parameters for the design that says we want to see a design that can be done in phases.
All right.
Because the high school project, we tried to make it in phases, and it wasn't possible given the physical structure.
All right,
So
Mrs.
those are my
Simons.
requests. Thank you.
You've stretched it enough. Thank you. Okay, Recreation Department athletic field improvements, $200,000, supported by Ways and Means, 1300, and capital budget by 500. Mr. Egan, please.
Thank you. This is the third year of this article. It was introduced 3 years ago to help us make improvements to our athletic fields. This past year, we have worked on the center school, renovating the center school softball field. Center school, if you're not familiar, is where the Recreation Department Human Service Building is, Council on Aging. Rotary field, we replaced, removed a bunch of debris from the outfield fence. Marvin Field, we removed the debris from the outfield fence there as well, located and repaired broken sprinkler valves, and at Regan Park replaced the backstop and fence along third base. Wildwood Park, we did irrigation work there as well, were some of the projects, and we're asking to fund that again for this year, future projects in 26 and 27. More irrigation work. We had an irrigation assessment done, standardizing all of our systems, making them automated and more efficient, and then installing new irrigation boxes at Memorial School, Rotary Field, TRW, Upper Simonds, and Francis Wyman, adding or replacing the safety netting that protects the Herb Chambers vehicles at Marvin Field that is failing, falling, as well as the netting along Bedford Street for the Upper Simonds Park Little League Field, and then looking at putting roofs back on the dugouts at Simonds Park.
Questions? Yes, ma'am. Ms. Bix Highland, please.
I'd like to hear, Mimi Bix Highland, Precinct 1. I think, Mr. Moderator, you said Ways and Means voted, was it 13 yes, 2 no?
1300.
Oh, I misheard entirely. I have no question.
Anything additional? All those in favor? Thank you. Opposed? Motion carries. Recreation, fencing, walkway, and tree replacement, 3-19, $50,000. Ways and Means voted 1300. Capital budget voted 500.
Yes, thank you. This is the second year of this article. We were running into emergency issues that come up, replacements of walkways, fencing, trees that come down during storms. Our staff does a tremendous job taking care of the trees that they can. There are some that are larger and require an outside tree company to come in with a crane, or just our larger trees that our staff is not able to fell. And this past year, we did walkways at Wildwood Park, making accessible walkway into the playground. They were not accessible previously. At Wildmere Park, the same thing. We replaced fencing at Wildmere Park. And then some perimeter fence repair at Francis Wyman. And then we had, in the matter of 2 days, 2 large trees come down on the town common that had to be addressed. coming up. We're looking at walkways coming in from Liberty Ave into Wildwood Park, making that fully accessible and repaving it. There are sections that were paved, they've crumbled. We removed the crumbled areas and put in stone to continue the walkway. We have identified some trees at Simonds Park as well, and we'd like to replace some of the trees that came down in the town common as well. And then fencing at Veterans Park, the perimeter fence along the road is failing, so replacing that as well are some of the projects.
Thank you, Mr. Egan. Questions? Mr. Glantz?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Nolan Glantz, Precinct 1. I see in the backup we're expecting for this to be a recurring thing at this rate, about $50,000 a year. It goes out 5 years. Do we expect it to be ongoing after that in perpetuity, essentially, or is it a limited time, 5 years, and then we're caught up?
Mr. Egan, please.
These are maintenance items and emergency items that come up. Windstorms, things like that knock trees. Snowstorms do as well. So the trees, it's an opportunity for us to, if it's taken out of our budget, we can't do something else. So whatever money is not spent at the end of the year remains there. I believe it rolls over, but we have a lot of trees to do, a lot of fencing that is 40 years old, and we've gotten back up. Walkways, there's no funding source for walkways in our parks. Regan Park has 3 different walkways coming into it. So eventually we could catch up, but it is an ongoing maintenance.
Follow, if I may?
Go ahead, Mr. Glantz.
I think it's reasonable expenses, certainly. I'm thinking, though, that it would be good if there was a way for this to be whether it's fixed or whether it's a structured portion of the budget as an every year thing. We need to do $50,000 or whatever that year's X thousands of dollars worth of this type of unforeseen but yet foreseeable maintenance, that there's going to be a certain amount of these types of things due to weather, et cetera. So I think it's reasonable, but I think it would be good if we could structure this into the budget as opposed to it being a separate warrant article every year.
Mr. Davison.
Hello. I would just say that's understandable. It's a couple of things. In the operating budget, then every year it adds to the whatever our guidelines and percentage increase. It just grows the budget a little faster. When it's free cash, just like the one that Mr. Wadilla talked about with trees earlier, it can carry over through the year. And so it's a little better for an emergency fund. If it ends at the end of the budget year, then you may spend it in April or May, because it's like, okay, we have these things that we should do. And then if a tree comes down or there's a bigger problem, you don't have any money for it. It will carry over. So next year, if we think that this is the right amount of money, next year, if there's $20,000 left, it may be that the article is for 30 or to just fill it back up. And it does come from free cash, so it is something that's easy to change and doesn't push us toward 2.5% and some of those things.
Further questions on this? Seeing none? All those in favor? Thank you. All those opposed? Motion carries. Must be 10 o'clock. 10:30, right on the nose, Mike. There's a motion to adjourn. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion fails. Let's keep going.
Sorry.
3-20, recreation maintenance equipment replacement, $60,000. Ways and Means vote 1300. Capital budget 500.
This request is for an attachment, a brush cutter for our John Deere tractor. This is to maintain fence lines, boundary, property lines over fences that we're not able to get to now. The work that we had done at Marvin and Rotary could be handled by this. This piece of equipment was recommended by our John Deere dealership to fit the specific piece of equipment we have. It sits higher up than the DPW machines that have the sidearm on them for roadside. This allows us to get over fencing. And the other piece of equipment in there is a Bobcat XUV. We do have one currently that is housed at Simonds Park that is used as the work vehicle throughout the summer season at Simonds, so we're not driving trucks throughout the park. It's a smaller vehicle. It is also used for town common events as well, and we have used it, towed it to parks for our fertilization program as well. So we would be replacing the current vehicle, or XUV.
Questions from the body? Ms. Warren?
Christine Herter Warren, Precinct 4. Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I just want to make sure that I understand this rating system, 1 through 5. I'm taking it as 1 is most important and 5 is least important. With this project being rated as a 4, I'm not sure who designed this or whether I'm reading it correctly. So I would request some clarification. Thank you.
Mr. Egan, please. Is that for you?
I think, is it the number on the capital improvement request form? The 4? In the prioritization. Yes, that was how it fit best. It wasn't a safety concern, but it was to maintain the level service.
Anything additional? Okay, all those in favor? Thank you. Opposed? (3-21) Recreation, renovate and repurpose ceramics room, $50,000. Ways and Means vote 1300. Capital budget vote 500. Mr. Egan, if you could give us a quick update on this, and then there is an amendment to this budget number.
Okay, thank you. This is, if you've been in the Parks and Recreation Department, we have a gym upstairs, a function room, and the old, what we call the ceramics room. And those are the only areas that we have to our own to program. We do share space with the Council on Aging, rooms back and forth. This room needs a renovation. A third of it is not even used. We have storage cabinets down both sides. We have 4 kilns for our ceramics program that went away with COVID. It was already dwindling in numbers at that point. We tried to keep it going during COVID by bringing greenware to people's houses so that they could paint. Then we'd pick it up and fire it. We lost a lot of our interest in the program during that time, and we've been trying to fit other programs into that room. Having more space would help allow us to offer more programs in there, and utilizing the space where the kilns are for a kitchen, teaching kitchen area would allow us to bring back our cooking programs that we are no longer able to do in our staff galley kitchen that we have.
Thank you, Mr. Egan. There is an amendment to the budget by Mr. Young to reduce the $50,000 budget to $0. Mr. Young, would you care to speak on that?
May I proceed, Mr.
You
Moderator?
may proceed now.
Thank you, and thank you for the second. I said on Monday night that I'm a supporter of the Park and Rec Department, and that's a very, very true statement. I live in Precinct 3 on the other side of this high school, and I walk this area, and so I saw things that could be improved. I've gone to meetings, I've emailed people, I've taken pictures, and things have been accomplished. But as I said before, this is going to be tough questions for people.
Let's get to the meat of it, Mr. Yet.
I'm getting there.
Well, please hurry it along.
All right. So, as much as I'm a supporter, I think this is a clear case of mission creep. You have a situation where there's basic services that are provided, and then there might be something that there might be a thought that, this might be something we would like to do. But I think we're getting into a different time. And unless it's generally police and fire and safety, new programs, I think, are difficult to say that they should be put forth. There's going to, now we're all sitting in here in Burlington High School, and there's been a few comments tonight about sharing facilities. I inquired, and I should say as well, I took the time, Mr. Egan and his assistant were very gracious and showed me the area. And so I did do that. But we're in Burlington High School. Hundreds of meals are served here every day. So I don't know, and Mr. Egan could answer this. What would be the possibility? It's, within a mile, basically, of the 61 Center Street where his office is and where they have some cooking classes now. Why couldn't those classes be, handled here in a facility that puts out hundreds of meals a day? And while I'm at it, there was no price for the appliances, so I don't think this is a really full, complete picture. So overall, I think it's a decision, as we keep hearing. It's a value question. Do we want, and it says here it's going to be for classes under the justification for culinary programs, community events, senior activities, and youth enrichment offerings while improving the space rental potential. I mean, we have Grandview. I don't know if we need another rental spot. It's news to me that seniors, we have our own kitchen. So again, it may be a wonderful thought or an idea, but it's up to this body if they want to continue to fund new programs. But I'd like a question answered about why we couldn't do it here in the high school, in the kitchen, and also why we don't know anything about the appliance cost, please.
Mr. Egan, can you answer that briefly, quickly?
Yes, thank you. They're not all new programs. We stopped offering programs because it wasn't safe to do them in our galley kitchen, which is why part of this renovation of the room would be a teaching kitchen. I'm going to assume that the kitchen here is a commercial kitchen and not conducive to teaching classes in, and we would have to get permission from the school department. I'm not sure. I don't know how they would feel about that.
Thank you, Mr. Egan. All right, Bob, I think you've made your point. You can't talk for forever. So let's wrap it up. Mr. Eiler.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. John Eiler, Precinct 6. As much as I appreciate Bob's enthusiasm and involvement, I would suggest this is a really bad use of procedure. If you're against something, just argue against it and vote no. Don't make us go through the process of amending it down to zero, which is essentially voting no. So I would say, just as a matter of principle, you really do not want to encourage this kind of behavior. I would recommend voting no on this.
Ms. Walensky.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Sarah Walensky, Precinct 5. Just a quick question about the kilns. Are those going to stay, or are you going to sell them off? They don't lend themselves to cooking.
Maybe my cooking. Mr. Egan.
Yes, they would be declared surplus, and procurement team we've already spoken with them, maybe municipal bid, something like that, which is a municipal eBay, basically.
Mr. Rutfield.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Alex Rutfield, Precinct 5. Building off of what Mr. Ilo said, I would like to hear from Mr. Young why he decided to introduce the amendment instead of...
No,
No?
he has told you why he introduced it. Did you not listen? Come on, Alex.
I listened. I'm just struggling to understand why I introduced it instead of just advocating for it now. Okay. I withdraw my comment.
He chose that as a process, as a way to move forward, as opposed to just opposing the article. All those in favor of moving the question? Thank you. All those opposed? Thank you. So now let's vote on the amendment. All those in favor of the amendment? Thank you. All those opposed? The motion fails. This brings us to the main motion. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor? Thank you. All those opposed? Thank you. It passed. Well, there's a motion to adjourn on the floor. Now we have to take a vote on that, so please, do you wish to adjourn now or not? All those in favor of adjourning? Okay, thank you. Opposed? Not enough.